Shoot him. The world is changing, but one thing remains the same. Victories with 1xBet.
And how long have you been here?
From early morning.
Take notes, kids.
Hey, was that a bait? Will you share?
Hellcase, don't miss your luck.
Pick and live. Make your choice. Play begin and get your prize.
Welcome back to the Champion of Champions Tour Global Finals Group Stages. It is the final day of the group stages and we are working with our final group. We still don't know who's going to claim those 2 places that are up for grabs in the playoffs. Right now it is pretty much open season. All 4 teams still in the mix here. So that is of course MIBR, Big, Astralis and BetBoom. You've seen MIBR and BetBoom play a little bit of earlier. A bit of a difficult series, each of them getting a 13-0, 13-1 map pick. Unfortunately, MIBR just couldn't close it in the end, so they are now playing Big, who lost to Astralis yesterday, and that is the game that we are going to be focusing on. One of these teams stays in the competition, the other team heads on home. Let's focus in right away. Obviously, your 1xBet predictions on the screen for you, but we'll focus in on what everyone else is feeling about these mix-ups. Specifically, our 2 analysts, Yumi and Tea Time, are with us, so I want to find out from you what we saw earlier from MIBR. I asked it to you then, but I'll ask it again. Not exactly what we normally expect from the Brazilian team.
No, not at all. I mean, they completely destroyed BetBoom only to get destroyed themselves in the decider game in that series. It was a massive, I don't know how to describe it aside from a complete breakdown from MIBR when it came to that final map in the pool, because I think the commentators even highlighted it a number of times. It's a map that domestically they're able to win very, very frequently. Even when they come overseas, it's a map that they're very confident in. So for them to be rocked so heavily after having a dominating performance is a little concerning, I think, coming into this matchup, just because they're going to have to be able to deal with the highs and the high highs and the very low lows that they have to experience now going up against a big team that are traditionally very structured.
Especially when you consider that for MIBR, you know, this is a team that comes without that many veterans in it. Sure, there's players who have attended a major, there's players who were with playing before and whatnot as well, but you don't really have that veteran presence outside of your coaching staff to have seen scenarios like this. Hell, I think most teams might not have seen scenarios like this. Just the roller coaster that was that second and third map for them. So yes, you're coming into this at least with a break. You're coming into this at least with some time to reset after what happened, but I don't really know, and I don't think anyone could claim to know what the internal environment is going to be like until we actually see them in the server.
Let's pull up that MIBR roster for you now so you can see exactly who we're speaking about.
Be a focal point that demands a whole lot of resources and is sort of like the pry bar that they use to open up rounds. He's a player that can be great at hunting for information and shutting down crucial parts of the map so that you have these more informed decisions, but they are also trying to actively get other pieces engaged. You know, they're setting up for players like Brenizan, they're setting up for players like Safe to actually have those opening chances more so than Insani as of late.
MIBR are trying to reduce down that variance, but unfortunately that also does mean that you're missing out some of the higher highs that he does bring to the table if he is allowed to let loose. And to be very frank, I do think that's one of the issues that they ran into in the previous series, not in the 13-0s or the 13-1s. I actually think that's where the Decider map, which was funnily enough the first map, on Mirage, we saw those issues coming in. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting seeing Insani coming up afterwards into the series, but I actually don't think it's all about him. I really think the focal point here is Exit and what he can actually get into this team before you're going forward. You have to completely re-examine what your veto process is going to be. You have to completely re-examine what just happened over there. You have to reinvent your mentality right here now. There's a lot for Exit to have done in that past hour.
We spoke so much about MIBR having a pretty deep map pool though, and yet what we saw in this past matchup where they lost to Betboom Tea Time was that map pool, they couldn't answer on some of them.
Look, I will push back on this. I think that Nuke was a bit of an anomaly over there in what we saw coming out from there. And I also don't think letting Mirage through was the worst thing in the world. We have to remember that just because you lose in a map, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have let that map come through, right? I think we can all accept this. Mirage didn't look atrocious from them. It really was one of those forest fire rounds coming out from Magno. As it really were a couple of these really good saving grace rounds coming out from Chiron and Siren, where they were able to get really crucial entries in man-down situations. It wasn't like MIBR wasn't in that game to be able to take it away.
Yeah.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves in this map pool conversation.
Yeah, I think it was just more about the surprise that, you know, MIBR have been using their first ban basically to eliminate opponent strengths, and that was one of the strengths that Betboom could actually offer up in that series. It is one of the maps that they've kind of continuously relied on. I think that was what really caught us off guard. Not to say that MIBR are bad at the map, but they just didn't use the veto like they have been in some of their previous series.
And that's what I meant by they need to reimagine their veto strategy going into this. Maybe they're just not as strong as a team as they thought they were, right? I think that's a very different conversation than their actual map pool depth and strength overall in there.
Let's take a look now at their opposition. They need to beat Big if they want to stay in the competition. A team that went up against, without a doubt, the global finals favorites, Astralis, went down 2-0. Let's talk a little bit about Big, though. I mean, losing to Astralis, I feel horrible saying this, kind of expected,
yes,
considering where Astralis is right now. What do we think of this lineup coming into this particular matchup?
I mean, the Astralis game, I don't think anybody could really expect Big to have come in and won that series. Astralis have looked very good. We weren't sure if it was going to just be Chengdu, but, you know, also having a nice performance at Pro League. You know, I think Astralis are turning out to be one of the top teams with that we have to think about, you know, sort of globally at the moment, and Big are just currently not there yet. I think the Big team actually came in with some nice strategies. I think they staged themselves into some advantageous positions very frequently, but they did, to be honest, I think they got out-muscled when it really came down to fighting Astralis in that previous series.
And that is one of the things that Astralis has managed to stay consistent about in all of their lineups, that it's very hard to punch up against them. They're not like your FaZe clan, which might have a fumble in a double elimination group stage bracket where they know they've got an extra life, right? It's a very different, very disciplined sort of team, so I just think it's about matchup for Big overall. But I know that, Michael, you're going to probably have to build on this a bit more. I do think Big has shame outside of that Astralis matchup.
Yeah.
You want to build on that? Go for it.
Okay, yeah, if we're going to go into it now, then yeah. I don't think Searson is currently working with Big at the moment. I mean, a guy that they had a lot of faith in during the online era and started to move in with him. I mean, they were one of the top teams in the world at one point or another with Searson on his scouting and AWPing duties, but he has not shown up in the way that Big expected. They were hoping that he could tap into moments of yesteryear and he could have that level of form. He got completely out-AWPed by Device in that previous series.
But Michael, it's Device. Come on, this is like someone like majors and MVPs at majors.
It is Device, but he is also donning in-game leading responsibilities. Device was dictating flow of combat. He was finding opening picks in the way that Searson wishes he could right now for Big.
Right, but Michael, I'm with Sam over here. It is Device, and we have to give him that credit over there, right? It's a hard AWPer to go up against. Let me answer you, Sam, though. You know who isn't Device? It's Nikodos. You know who isn't Device? It's whoever the AWPer for Para is. I don't even remember off the top of my head. You know who isn't Device? Whoever the AWPer for Boss is. Whoever the Cirque on Bleed, right? They're all AWPers in the past few series, including on LAN, including online. The teams at Big by far should be outstripping Bar Heroic, I'll say that. But AWPers who you should not be having such a struggleville up against. You're barely seeing him break above 1.0 in a couple of these matches. Sure, he hits a 1. 1.1 rating. You know what? I'm really sorry to Boss. They've got some really fantastic players, and they're doing it in a difficult circumstance from North America without an organization. But Surson should be shitting on them right there. Like a 1.2 plus over there. They should be a very, very easy time for him in this situation, and he's just not been able to pull through.
Tea Time, if you could, you should take your mic off and just drop it. Point made. Good job. I hear you now. Fair enough. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the other players, though, in the server. Yumi, who are you keeping your eyes on?
I mean, I think it's hard to ignore the sort of focal points traditionally for these rosters. I think Crimbo has been an exceptional piece for Big. He's very consistent through his early additions to this roster, has proven to be a clutch man, a mid-round guy. Hell, if you need him to find an opener, he will, if you give him space, he will find that opener for you. And in the same way that we'll levy that sort of ability to players like Insani, these guys are the two highest impact riflers on these rosters, and you can certainly understand why both organizations have such faith in them to actually sort of do that due diligence.
And to be honest, I do wonder about whether MIBR has taken any sort of hints out from the Big side as well, because it does feel like Big have really tried to enable their star riflers in a way where they have more agency while not deteriorating structure. It's one of the reasons why everyone looks at Big demos, everyone copies their strats, everyone copies their setups, because somehow their star rifler, at one point it was Tapson, at another point, right now they obviously have tried to make it Falcon at times, which didn't work as well, but Crimbo over here has found so much success where it does feel like he's still got a little bit more freedom, where it does feel like he still does have a little bit more pop-off ability without breaking apart the structure, and that's what the most important part of Big is.
And the good news is that it's not just Crimbo as well. Like, since JDC has joined this roster, he has looked like a completely different version of himself when we're thinking about taking and fighting for chances to win rounds. JDC has taken a lot more autonomy. I feel like he's a much more complete player than he ever was with that Mouse organization as well. So they've got a better looking JDC, a good looking Crimbo, but they are still, unfortunately, missing out on that star level AWPer at the moment.
Let's take a look at the veto. It's going to be coming up on your screens shortly, and I know that both of my gents want to weigh in on this. This is where I think MIBR lost that last series, so what changes up now?
So I don't know about you, T-Time, but I think Anubis, an Anubis ban from MIBR actually would make a lot of sense here, because Big are, with not only the main organization, but the academy team, they were the innovators of a lot of the util sets that people are using today to take control of territory. And I think MIBR will probably try and lean in on that and try and negate Big maybe coming in with a few extra tricks up their sleeve.
Well, listen, let's see. Okay, so this was sort of one of the things that I was expecting, actually, MIBR to be banning out Dust too early. And I don't think you want to let Big have this one, because Big is one of those teams which the only way you're going to be able to consistently beat them is off of footage. Big's ban of Mirage is unsurprising. I do think this would be a good place for them to slot into the Anubis, but at the same time, MIBR has also had an incredibly strong Anubis over here, so I wouldn't actually be surprised if Big ended up opting into an Ancient to try and punish MIBR over there. We did just see them ban it there as well. MIBR themselves go for the Anubis. Okay. They're trying to fight on shared territory where they can have a lot more anti-strat material, and I thought that it's going to be a Vertigo decider. I'm still leaning in towards that, so yeah, it's going to be, I think it's going to be Anubis Ancient Vertigo over here to come through overall.
Damn, yeah, I really was expecting that they would look at what the Astralis were able to do on that Dust 2 and actually be able to make use of that in a much more effective way. So I mean, I was with you for the Vertigo Decider for sure, and an Ancient, I thought MIBR themselves might have picked it, but the way that they've been playing recently, the way that they've been adapting their setups, maybe it's just not the most conducive. I actually really like the map pool that we have, because I think we're going to be able to get good skill expression, maybe a better understanding of the philosophy of MIBR on these three maps. I am just a little shaken by the Anubis pick from MIBR. I'm not sure what they have planned in that regard.
I really do think that this is one of those situations where both for Ancient and for Anubis, there's an assumption from the other team that to try and adapt to the new maps, you're leaning away from your good old practice ones in terms of Anubis for Big and Ancient for MIBR. So this is going to be a very interesting dynamic in the veto, that's for sure.
I'd be curious to find out what our casters think about the veto. Dwig, Jay, how are you feeling?
Well, we are feeling like we are hoping for a hell of a time for MIBR. At the very least, to say this one is going to be obviously a task to try and remount towards where they fell apart in the last series of the day. Now, for them, obviously, the veto process is seeming very unorthodox today, Dwayne. They mentioned it on the desk. Does that play into Big's favor to some capacity?
I actually think both teams could 2-0 this. Ancient and Anubis are two very strong maps in the pool for both teams. Do I lean towards Big getting a 2-0 on more of an opportunity than MIBR? Yeah, probably. I mean, after what I've seen in that opening game, I don't know what do we think. I think we got two very different extremes of MIBR across all three series, or all three maps in the series, I should say.
And now with the notion that these map ups being played in this series actually is like the highest played and highest won maps in the pool for Big over the last few months is obviously something that I have to consider with the fact that they're going to contest in all three of them, in my personal opinion. I mean, obviously, there are some other concerns in terms of the roster themselves and some of the players. Obviously, Yumi was highlighting the likes of the AWP play. So if there are some hindering factors, then things might start to get shaky. But in my eyes, I kind of want to back Big to a small extent.
Yeah, I'm going to join you on that one. And I think for Big, if you really want to try and prove yourself, this is the tournament to do so. Getting a win here and then facing off against BetBoom, you've got to look at all of the regards and say, this is a team that should be striving for the playoffs.
Oh, Pistols already getting started. MIBR taking the fight towards A main control. Exit, Process and Sani. And Exit to follow up with a man advantage. Taking one back from Searson's part out from the mid presence. So it is a 3-on-2, but it still favors the CT forces.
A drop, all about timing out here to Electric. JDC with the Glock does open up the B site, so Sirison has got an avenue in, but they still need to deal with these two players in the canals.
And the bomb is with their control. They are dishing out heavy damage to Exit, a little over 20 points of health. His P2K starts firing. JDC takes one back, and Searson gets up close and personal to make it a pistol win for Big.
Yeah, JDC has been a positive upgrade for me in this Big organization. I think even from just a career standpoint, I remember when JDC was playing in the local German scene with Panthers and Expert and the Unicorns of Love roster, but a lot of people are going to remember his time on the Mouse NXT and the main Mouse team, and even a little bit of a stint with Sirison on that 0-0 Nation roster with Bird from Sky. But since coming back into the local scene, JDC's been quite consistent for Big.
So around the same time as Searson, so perhaps we're contrasting in assessments for those two players. Forced by from MIBR trying to get involved early in this matchup. They saw how quickly things fell apart against BetBoom a little bit earlier on today. And to their credit, they were able to contest early games in that series, but have to try and force the issue out in this particular round. So far, no opportunity presenting.
Anubis is one of those maps that we see for MIBR a lot against the local territory. 12 wins and 4 losses for them in the last 3 months. Big. An idea of what you can expect across the majority of this best of 3 series is being very util heavy, very protocol heavy. And individually out from house, there's a bit of a strike with the Deeg.
Sunny and safe. The Deagle 5-7 crossfire. Sunny gets a second chance for a second kill. Safe will actually be able to capitalize upon that. Drop that bomb. And JDC is suddenly left all alone out here in mid. Its fight of the AK goes a little bit awry on the spray, so Safe just chips away at the HP and eventually comes up with his double. And just like that, the 5-on-2 ensues. Mac Tenza trying to see if he can find some trades back. Tapson aware there must be a second man out there, but Exit is not letting him get much more than damage against his name. Crimbo in a 1-on-4.
MIBR screaming, were you Eco too? That round is just obliterated out there from the mid-house and the doors. You can feel how uncomfortable the rifler of JDC is from the doors, because you're trying to fight against 2 different angles, aren't you? You're trying to fight from the doorway, but also from house, and there's jiggles, there's swings, it gets awkward with the spam. And MIBR have actually made that force buy look very easy.
Responsive, quick. 1 apiece. Big will counter the force with the force of their own right, but very similar stances to what MIBR had. Only upgrade pistols available to them. JDC is hoping he can find that opening Deagle shot again. This time Smokes against his nature will reveal himself without giving away contact.
A heavy utility outside of the B main. Charge up from Brenzen to try and get involved with that first kill. They're not really backing off though. They keep going.
Smokes up, sprays through the AK, dishing out some damage. Trades available for Big if they can catch off some aggressive shots off, and they do get a couple of them out with those Deagles, but Brendan and Safe maintain control of the man advantage, and AK has fallen into the hands of Process. Between him and JDC, there's 37 HP on the T side.
Stylistically, that was insanely risky for MIBR. Going up against an anti-force buy and fighting that aggressively, oh, there probably would have been some nerves in some of those crossfires and trades. Now, they've been given a lot of respect on a B retake right now to stack up heavy on A, so Big will definitely be able to get the bomb down at least.
Very slow to approach. They're taking their time with this. So wary of where MIBR are going to be holding from. But at least without the immediate bomb plant, Big can have a little bit of breathing room here, and time will be taken for all three players to get to the bomb site on rotation. Exit might still find the fight on JDC though. AK actually gets the headshot in.
Big actually might be able to recover this. This is looking quite promising.
Still low HP though in the 2 versus 2.
It's the time stalling, though, that's already occurred.
HE for Insani. If he puts that out to center of a bomb site, then there's going to be a man to fall. Process is revealed. Here comes that nade. There he goes, JDC. 1 versus 2 on the bomb site goes to Insani with that defuse kit, tapping and holding. No denial. No chance. Indeed, MIBR make it successful, but even so, heavy damage sustained, and with the bomb plant bonus, Big might force again.
Yeah, well, they don't need to because they're not double eco, but you are right. I mean, just knowing that you got it so heavy on the investment, the extra cash injection of the 800, 3 players to drop. Now, I would say that Big typically keep the buys really safe, don't they? They don't like forcing, they don't like getting into low investments, so there was a chance, but classic Big, they're going to go for the safer approach.
Seeing the increasing force by strategies with bomb plants. This is not one of those cases, though. Big look for guns early in this matchup, and MIBR will play the aggressive stances once again, this time towards Canals on Drop's part. Rotations will start to put that bomb over towards that mid presence with the majority of Big's players. They still have upgrade pistols involved in this round, so even though it's not a force buy, we saw what those Deagles could do.
And we reflect on the veto with the whole mindset for MIBR of banning a strength of an opposition. For Big, this is the first tournament that they've played in where Dust 2 is featured as the new map in the pool. And their opening game against Astralis, they picked Dust 2. We know that Big loved Dust 2 back in CSGO a couple of years ago. So no surprise there that the Dust 2 ban has come out.
Historically German map. The veto is something we discussed as part of the reason why MIBR may have lost that previous series. Thinking back on that, if they drop out here and now in the elimination game, it's 35 seconds for Big to try and force out a bomb plant. They have once again grouped up, this time towards water on that A site. JDC is going to get picked up though, so that's 1 frag found and no return so far for Big.
Now Big in a scenario where they're just trying to pepper array out towards sort of the canals, the A main. And 2 here on defense for MIBR. Crossfire looks tight.
Watching camera, watching main. 11 seconds to get the bomb down. They are stalled out by the likes of Exit, and Insani's AK gets involved with 2. So none of those key weapons on the 2 T-side rifles taken away from the CT side. MIBR looking a very easy anti-eco. Big will get their wish.
For Big, they have IM Dallas in, what, 6 days' time? So I suppose their outlook on the CCT Global Finals is to be a threat, to try and get into the playoffs, try and have a little bit of a deeper run. If it is a group stage exit, you'd expect that the mentality is going to be at a fairly low period going into an important LAN event.
And for all the Tier 1 teams involved in this tournament, you want to think about those future LAN appearances. Build some confidence up going into Dallas for the likes of Big. Try so they can make a run back to the playoffs from the down foot rifles involved in the CCT Global Finals. And things are just as slow as they always want to be here for Bigs on the T side. Process pressing on to the doorway over at mid. Insani and Drop are there to try and receive.
Yeah, this Crossfire is very aggressive, and that's what MIBR have been doing quite frequently in mid, is not giving respect to the T side.
Smoke sent down towards camera. Process fought upon. Drop's going to get that kill. Insanity's going to follow suit on JDC, and now the execution seemingly comes in real quick, but a smoke down at main stops it from Big. The HE doesn't clear up all vision, so they make their way forward of it. Exit's going to get caught. 2 lined up for Insani, and he makes it a quadra. Easy pickings for him.
And Sunny is in a round there where it all pretty much just gets shaped up for that initial contact out from mid. Now, I suppose a little bit of a negative to the side of Big is that oftentimes they could be so focused on the overall decision-making and the mid-round calling where the individuals end up just getting laxed and not having that same amount of impact and importance to the rounds. Right there, losing 2 picks out towards mid early just set up that entire round, didn't it? We saw the re-smoke towards A main. It meant that Big kind of needed to pop through it with the HG and the flash, and then the tell was just easily that it's going to be an A play.
Well, we are making good work out of this opening start. CT side has forced out the tactical from Big. These rounds from the Brazilian squad been very, very confident. Not even bomb plants being allowed most of the time.
And honestly, for both teams, getting a 2-0 is very key because you go out onto Vertigo and you've just seen a 13-0 for MIBR, but also it's a map that both teams love to play. Both teams pick a hell of a lot of Vertigo in recent history, so you're kind of going into even territory. So if you can get out here with a good start, that might just mean everything for the series.
Just remember what that Vertigo looked like against BetBoom a short while ago for MIBR. That 13-0, something that they are hoping can come back to bite the big side if we go to map 3. Big. Again, slow they approach, even with these upgrades, even with this half buy, no paciness coming in from them in the early portions of the round. JDC has already fallen to this no trade presented by MIBR, even in this mid-insertion for Big. I mean, there's players on bomb site, but have to extend so far out to catch him.
And more passive for MIBR than what we saw in the last gun round, that's for sure. Insani can just drop the incendiary as soon as he gets a contact.
Those footsteps, to the marker. Process is going to get forced back. Bomb is on his back, so he needs to ensure it doesn't drop. Counter smoke will block off vision, and Big will change tact.
Try and see if they can squeeze in from Temple, but drops in an off angle.
Fights the first, doesn't quite get the second. Process now revealing where that bomb is. Safe's AWP does strike onto Searson, so down to 2 players are Big. Safe. Cross-firing alongside Brenzin. They're just going to be watching out for all these positions over at the CT spawn angle. Big have to attack from one of them. And they'll choose to make their way into the B site. Process AK looks to duel, and Brendan's still going to win that fight out. Time well against Crimbo. His AK picks up 1, but not the second. Exit closes out for MIBR, and these rounds might be slow, but they're coming in respectably for the CT side. 5-1 now.
And Big historically were an organization that used to struggle a lot in the online environment against Tier 2 and outer region competition. I would say towards the end of last year, probably from the summer break to the Christmas break of last year when they had Sin and Mad2 in the roster, that wasn't the case at all. These guys were really consistent online. They were getting some very good victories. I now wonder, with JDC and Searson into the team, is that still the same? Because you have a look at their results, and they actually have been getting upset quite a lot. Top 4 at Thunderpick, 4th at Sky Sports Masters, a grouping in the Rest European Series. Not the best of online results for Big recently.
Unfortunate for them, considering we're playing an online tournament. Fortune starting to change in the opening kills, however. Process has caught Insani to start. Backed away from mid. His drop tries to take him back. The timing's a little bit off, but he did spot the man as he fades away. Could also catch Crimbo on transition. Orpa undetected. This is a big old flank for drop.
Yeah, this is a round-winning play because this should drop the bomb at the B. Oh, the timing. We've seen so many of these plays today.
So focused on the wraparound coming from mid. Didn't account for spawn being a potential point of attack. Big. Now up by 2 players, but 3 men now rotating to the B bomb site. Process are going to get caught by Brendan. He backs off towards the back side. The blind sprays of Exit get returned by Tabson through the smoker. Headshots gain. Plant down default 4-on-2. Just comes up with the kill, but a hair too late. The retake is set.
And really need to wait for these smokes to clear before they can start getting the kills. Safe. Oh, he's on for a sequence.
Oh, that's a triple. Searson losing the Obvio battle. JDC down a man, aware of the one. M4 fighting back over at Glyph, engaged upon at close range. Brenton's gonna drop. Oh, you feel bad for Safe in that one. He really set the round up for MIBR. But Big take their second instead.
And that round had a bit of everything, didn't it? That aggressive play towards top mid. I would say fair play and all the credit to Crimbo, because he's the guy that's watching for top mid. If he's not anticipating that, if he's even caught with his knife out, Jay, that's the bomb dropped and probably the round over. Instant reply from the Cave Orb, but JDC isolates both of these fights. And Brenton can't get the finishing blow, so Big answer back with a gun round.
Well, Safe presenting himself as a threat in this matchup, though. 9 kills alongside Insanity, the 2 top players in the server right now. The Obvio battle again looks to take place over Electric. Searson wins it this time, and that might just be very quickly sent in. The counter utility is immediately back from Brendan. Incendiary on towards Electric, smokes over at main. HE's evaded, his blind spray is doing a hefty amount of damage to JDC. And that HE finishes off the job. Process immediately responds to it, though. They're going in for the execution. Brendan still fights well. Missed AWP shots. Teammates coming into the bomb site. Searson finally overwhelms the defensive line, and MIBR down by 1.
2 very clinical kills by the NWP of Searson to get that first contact out from Electric and trade the other B player. MIBR, maybe if a kill presents, they can go for this. But if there's no overextension, it has to be a save.
That's what they'll do in the end. No man advantage, no trades presenting themselves, no presence near the bomb site. Nothing to play with here on the retake. So a third round gained by Big when MIBR were looking at a lot of confidence in their streaks. Big can answer back, and this time keeping 3 players alive.
Now, MIBR got off to a nice and healthy streak where it looked as if they were going to dominate this first half. So it's nice to see a bit of contest. Nice to see Big showing up some important rounds. The last thing you want is a bit of a whitewash. Big make the difference too, and now feel as if they've got a little bit of a 3B against the Eco.
And our major investment seems to get called in by MIBR. Just those 2 weapons plus an SMG. I think might have just been refunded, actually. Tacticals taken by MIBR, getting tested here. Big, their start may be slow, but it is now locked in.
And for MIBR, they're playing an ESL Challenger Yonkaping in 3 weeks' time when they've just won the last one. They went down under in Melbourne, was able to beat some strong teams of Apex and Aurora in the playoffs to give themselves a LAN victory where there's a lot of grand final positions for them. Now, coming into this tournament with the level of competition, I think maybe just a playoff position would be looked at as a positive rather than a grand final. A lot of tough teams ahead. Astralis and BetBoom. I mean, can you imagine if BetBoom cause an upset? Can you imagine if they beat Astralis? And if you are MIBR or Big, you're just thinking, oh no, no, not that team in the decider.
Astralis, the battle for their tournament lives would be an interesting and unpredictable thing to see, given how well they've done so far. MIBR fighting for their lives at the moment against Big, and they're making success happen. Exit has found 3. Galil picked up. So much done to Searson. 9 points of health. His AWP is posted on angle, but the bomb is with CT control. A backstab towards A might present itself, but you're right about this further push of the CT side. Searson has no idea whatsoever. The round has basically fallen apart for Big.
Oh no. Hashtag classic Big. I don't know. That's a round where there's 2 saved in rifles. There's a couple of upgraded pistols. And I suppose at mid, the tell is for Exit, you just got to keep fighting. You've just got to keep going. You've got to maximize the potential before dropping. And he just gets so many kills. I love that even against Searson, he puts up mass damage, but then doesn't overpeak again because he knows the B players are on the push. And if you are Crimbo, you're the A-Lurk. You're like, lads, what's happened in mids?
I might have to start rescinding my Big prediction at the moment. Minimum 6 hit by MIBR on CT side.
I mean, seeing this and then knowing that JDC had to win a 1v2.
Yeah.
this is looking rough right now for Big.
Crimbo, he's sneaking around to look for an exit, but he may well die here, and fight taken on drop. Certainly won't be winning a round. Damage to be done, at least to remove one player, but I mean, just it doesn't make much of a difference. MIBR brought in ecos around the 2 saved weapons and get away with an AWP and 2 AKs. Steal and a half, Big. I mean, even their buy is going to look up and down.
It's not good, and that is the unfortunate nature of losing anti-ecos, is it just destroys you. It just makes it so uncomfortable to recover the next round and even recover the half. I mean, right now for Big, even this gun buy, I mean, we saw Sirison getting 2 very impactful kills towards B with the AWP. Money's not even close to think about a big grain.
The AWP of Safe is still in play, though. Where he took a first engagement. Big slow to the main control. Flashing from Searson was going to allow his teammates to start peeking. Crimbo actually went in dry. Molotov's against Insani, forced to use that smoke. Takes a bit of damage for it, and well, the smoke seemed to come in real quick for a fast execution out here. Insan's going to get back to the bomb site. He runs right into another Molotov, though, and Searson gets the kill for it. Exit can't quite find a returning frag. Eventually he does, though. Tabson down, his teammates tagged. Safe now, knowing about pressure from both sides of the bomb site. Exit with another kill, though. Again, a multi-frag sequence that seems to turn the tide back to the favor of MIBR as he makes a triple happen. JDC trades it. Safe switches to the AK, wins that next fight. Crimbo once again alone, tapping that bomb and looking for more kills. Safe is going to get caught. Second man unknown about, and that bomb will try its hand of the rotation.
And Crimbo's one of the best clutches in the world, so this 1v3 could very well be on.
Secure plant. Brenzin and Drop on their way in. First man forward is Brenzin. Over at the CT entrance, Crimbo has no inkling, no idea, suspecting there might be a wraparound from main, but as no presence shows itself over towards Canals, his attention must turn itself towards the bomb site. There's defuse kits, there's smokes, footsteps heard, Incendiary Reynolds, electric force that play into the open, he gets that kill anyway, flick back on Drop! Comes up with another clutch for Big.
You actually feel for Exit, the in-game leader, because he was putting on a mad sequence out there at the bricks. He was fighting the camera players, he was fighting the pillar players, he was trying to protect the AWP as much as he can. Big are only surviving because of clutches right now.
Exit's had 2 back-to-back 3Ks. Massive work done from both him and Crimbo. Crimbo is the man that wins the round itself, and that puts MIBR back on a shaky territory, but they've done good things with worse buys here. M4 involved already. Engagement against Searson, finds the frag and backs off.
I'm convinced that Big are getting outclassed here on Anubis, even with 4T rounds. HE, the smoke, easy kill. Oh, lovely.
Perfect coordination between Insani and Safe. Insanely safe kill, if you will. 5-on-3 taken by MIBR. Wraparounds from Big, again slowly converging on this B hit, but the bomb and its backup are isolated from each other in very different entryways. We're still in default, no execution yet.
Big just looks so weak in the early to mid rounds, and that's concerning for the series. Individually, they're not getting opening kills. Double play back into Electric. Tabson gets the first. Is he ready for the second player, though?
Drop. Oh, does just about get killed off here. Safe now pressured. Smokes down against him. Molotovs towards the edge of the bomb sites. Molotov actually missed out there. I think it took some damage on Tabson. Plant will be secured, though. 3 versus 3 free. Or trying again for the wall bang is once again ahead, too late to deny the plant itself. But he set up the man advantage for the retake, which seems to be coming in real quick for MIBR. JDC from main, checked upon, utility out, a spray comes forward to Insani. He goes falling, safe, checked by Crimbo, exit with a responsive, one-on-one, and that bomb out in the default position, tapped once, JDC slow walking into the contact, and just enough vision is blocked from exit for JDC to win yet another clutch for Big.
All I was thinking about in that 2v3 is that we've got JDC and Crimbo alive. So between the three of them, or the two of them, they've basically won 3 rounds. And maybe you even can classify them as 3 players. I don't know how they keep getting away with these 1vx's. And if you are MIBR, you've just got to be thinking to yourself, oh, we've got them. Yeah, okay, they're getting a few rounds. Yes, okay, they're good in the 1vx's. But fundamentally, we're the far better team.
I mean, you're still about to go into your T side at the minimum evened up. MIBR, serious chance to take over the game here. The Eagles looking to fight back with, again, mid-aggression. They find Process with their force forward, and with that Big, start sending into A.
They're safe. Maybe give himself a little bit of a lurk smoke to work around it, but they need to pack here. They need to get as much impact from the riflers as possible, because this is going to be a tough retake.
A very deep smoke at the CT side, and as more Molotovs start coming in. Safe catches Crimbo before the smoke blooms. 2 men down. MIBR have players that are tagged, and AK and a FAMAS to work with in the rifle department. I don't see a kit on any of them either, so this will be a very fast retake at that. Flashes in, 20 seconds remain. Molly's further smokes and further util to force Tabson out of the way into a fight which he can't seem to win. The Pistols continue looking at the bomb site themselves. JDC and Sits to close down. Tabson can't get to the diffuser and exit with a USP as the man to close it out. MIBR as well should close the half up 7-5.
Just so much util on the retake. You've got a smoke to main, you've got a Molly default, a Molly pillar. There's just nowhere to go. There's no breathing room at all there for Big. You may have had the bomb site opened up. I mean, that's unfortunate for Crimbo. Just a straight spam kill there from safe for camera.
A split second later, and that retake wouldn't have come through. MIBR lead the charge once again. 2 to the good as they turn up the T side with the pistol coming in soon. And you've got 3 players really providing the numbers right now for this team. Exit top of the board, Safe and Insani also make up the core of fraggers. No one on Big is matching up to those kinds of numbers. And CT side heavy-handed towards mid, 1 player per bomb site on passive, and MIBR lean A.
Yeah, this is a flash high over mid when they can peek on a contact. Now, there's a bit of searching going on from Process, and he spots nothing, so it should be the heavy rotation through from camera now.
Taps to the USP, unable to connect anything. Flashes forward, 2 of them against Brendan, who takes first kills. 2 of them, in fact, safe with a follow-up. Brendan with a triple, and it is just absolutely destroyed. Big decimated on the A defense.
JDC is going to get hunted down. MIBR with a good lockout because the read is there. They know that it's an A play, but Brendan up at the stairs. We'll see it on the replay. I mean, this is a tight angle. You don't have a lot of workability at all, and he just triples instantly.
So fast into the advantage for MIBR. Big. This time the ones to lose the pistol. Gained it in the previous half. Of course, got responded to on the conversion by the T side line. And they won't opt for similar sort of force-ups. Get to those guns early. Try and contest the rifle rounds. Still within touching distance with MIBRB. The stack towards A actually might get leaned into here. Let's see how much damage these pistols can do.
How quickly is the cancel is what I'm thinking about. As soon as drop spots this stack, they should just start running it into B for electric.
Putting further smokes down towards the heaven control. So Crimbo and JDC, or JDC specifically, might be a little bit blinded by this flash send. Matt10C, the first player caught off, stay around the side. They've read the positions relatively well here, and actually they don't even need to cancel. They're just going to rip right through them as per usual. Matt10's getting all the money, all the kills. Everything favoring MIBR. Big need to change that with the gun buy.
And maybe if you're watching MIBR for the very first time, you're thinking, oh, who's this Exit guy? Is this some young up-and-coming rifler? No, it's the in-game leader that's 27 years old. Individually, though, he's had some manic moments. The first half with the multis, the sequences from bricks and in towards house and the doors. I've been very impressed by the individual impact from Exit today.
Four to the good on the Brazilian squad. Exit and Brenzin once again trying to find the opening. Brenzin will be the man that drops out. JDC with the pick against him, flashed forward for even more. Counter utilities there to block off presence of the T-side line. Will not be allowed executions early, and they're down by a man, and no trades available yet.
A really good pit there for JDC out from jail, because it is a bit of a one-for-done position. You need some util from a teammate to get you out of there. There's just enough coverage of the spam and a little flash that he was able to escape with the man advantage. MIBR quite heavy in towards the mid-pressure now.
Start walking back. Kept away with the passiveness of Big, not opting to press forward and find a secondary frag. JDC and Searson forming up towards the B rotation. Stanley's going to get caught by Tabsin. Smokes and Molly set to the XE. On the bomb side specifically, Crimbo is going to get caught blinded by that. HGs don't quite connect to him either as the T's make their way out. Bomb in the open, does get cut down. Another good fight against Safe. Exit will only get one on the exit of the round. Big claim an all-important rifle.
And who would have thought that the highlight individuals in that last round are JDC and Crimbo? The concern that I have right now, Jay, is that can Big win a map off of two players? I don't think I've seen enough consistently from Sirius and Tabson and Process for me to put Big in that kind of scenario.
And it's good to see Crimbo, of course, taking top frag of the board at the very least for Big. Nimi was mentioning him as a guy to watch out for, who's so far proven himself to be capable of. Tabson, oh no. I don't like where this is going. TAC9 taking the first. Crimbo doesn't lock on a Safe. A-side has fallen to pieces. Plant secured at the very least. A 4-on-3 for the post plant.
That's a very light eco. You've even got players without Kevlar. A drop with the AK is... the aim punch might hurt him.
It's an 100 HP though, pre-firing Process drawn out. Flashes sent. Exit with a kill. JDC, he's so close to contact. Drop, not seeing him. They're starting to back off. Big are throwing in the towel and Drop's looking for exits and all. Searson, he's in trouble. His rifle to Drop. Does manage to respond towards Drop at least. But regardless, the round is claimed by MIBR. The lighter buy to 10 on the T side. Big are lucky to have two players alive, it seems. Brendan is still hunting him down, but finally has to make a concession. The only concession in this one for the T side.
Big have looked god-awful against the half-buys and the limited investments. Think about the start of this map. One pistol, lost the anti-force buy. Remember that double M4 round that got saved where they had one on A and they had one out there from house, Exit got a multi-frag, and then this round. You can't tell me that a team like Big, with how experienced they are, that they lose 3 half-buy to low investment rounds in the first 16 rounds of a map.
Only a couple more for MIBR to get to map point. And more than likely take the map outright. Saying at the start of this matchup that Big could contest on all 3 maps in this series, I kind of feel a little bit silly for saying it, to be honest. MIBR's own pick certainly has favoured them.
Well, it looks promising for the 2-0 for MIBR, doesn't it?
Fundamentally, things are looking solid. Big need to generate a response here, and it needs to be in this round.
JDC was the one to open up an opening pick in the previous gun round at B. And this time around, it's a bit more passive. You've got A main control taken completely by MIBR, but it seems like a little bit of an A fake and a B lean.
Drop's got flashes against the contact and pressor big. Walking for some map control over on the A side of things. Might see a water flank if these Canals players don't strike. Exit does prod on Process and do some damage, but now the backstab all close in. Drop is going to get caught. Exit caught up between the crossfires, and they're going to overwhelm him in the end. Now the main players have to act out to the B bomb site. Safe and Insanity get a couple of those trades, but now Safe is all that remains. Bomb on his back, can go for the plant, needs to go for the plant. 2 more fights to find. He gets 1 more of them, but the second man is nowhere to be seen. So by the virtue of the timer, Big will take the round.
Crimbo is a real world-class player. He is incredible with the decision-making and the overall timings. I mean, right there, we can tell that they're shaping up for a bit of a B-split. 2 players in for Canals, 3 out for main. You had Drop selling some util towards A main. But as soon as they start getting set up, right, I think even the smoke comes over, but they haven't committed into Electric just yet. He's already there. He's already in a position to strike and just ruin that round for MIBR.
Another tactical for Big here. Three rounds behind. We'll still see some awkward economy states from MIBR, particularly for Insani. Deagle into this next round. Don't see any drop weapons there at spawn. Now this is where Big need to punish. Now this is where they need to set up a streak. Won the previous round. Convert on that broken by state. Disallow bomb plants. Certainly get up to around 9 rounds with an eco. The MIBR would be due. Deagle's face up for Insani. His weapon trying to take map control away from Big, but won't see any contact from the CT side.
JDC took a lot of space out there from the Canals, but realizes he has to back off. He can't just maintain that area of the map. Can only really take it in the early portion. Now Process and JDC are going to make a contact out to B main.
Meanwhile, mid actually coming in from the T side, but almost caught that bomb carrier. Brenzin does make his way away. Flash forward, sprays, very awkward. Process wins the fight.
Now out in the open, that could have been a bit of a freebie. Sirison can smoke off when he gets contact. This looks quite promising for Big, because even Tabson's starting to rotate out to spawn.
Sirison didn't put the utility down over at camera. Oh, the rotations in from mid control. Smokes back, they're just going to creep up. Face fight adjustment there from Tabson's timing. Does force a little bit of inaccuracy, but Insani still gets that kill. Safe follows up. Crimbo on site. 3 versus 2 now. With his advantage taken over Exit. The AWP, however, is able to strike. Needs to get down to the bomb site because JDC is here to defend with a shot back. There's 30 seconds remaining. Oh, the AWP shot. Safe is so sick. But 8 points of health to contest the last man. He'll run for it. Try to plant on B again.
JDC think he might double bluff, that he might just try and make those footsteps and come back into heaven. The issue now for Safe when he gets that bomb down is where does he reposition to? JDC is going to have absolutely no information on where he can go.
Exact same position. Safe. Timing on JDC is good for a tag, not for the frag. Another clutch for Big. What, we up to like 6, 7 or so now?
Nah, come on, we're not that high. I think we're only up to 4, Jay.
It feels
six
like
or 7. Do you know how many rounds a Big have won?
It feels like it. It feels like it right now because that's how prevalent they really have been for Big. MIBR. Still brought it back to so much damage. 4 players fell on the CT side.
What a timing they had too when they walked into camera and just no one was watching out for it, even though there was 3 towards A.
We have the half invested, a Tech 9s, a PT50 as well for Exit. Back's broken finally from the T side. Again, Big should come within one of MIBR's lead. Let's see what the Brazilians can do to try and test that, if they can take any weapons away, because in this kind of a round, with the money being where it is for Big, any casualties would be impactful.
And this is a winnable round in my eyes. With how much Big have struggled against the pistols and the lighter investments, this is very workable. Now, there is a bit of an insertion out to B main. Now, previously, they did it with a flash. This time around, they do it dry, but it does get caught off.
Sani, head on the Molotovs again, all sorts of damage taken by him and his teammates. Counter flashes, further incendiaries on from Tabs, and they're going to push ahead of it. Flashbang does catch the player blinded, but still he gets those 2 kills. Crimbo on backside will ensure that there is no half-buy steal here for MIBR. They'll still try and press to get this bomb down if possible, and Safe does find Crimbo for it, but as far as he will go. Exit, I think he was spotted by Searson. He seems to have an inkling that he's around the pillar and the fountain position. Now been seen, now been dealt with. Those 2 casualties as far as they'll go.
And we can be very cutthroat and quite easy to say that MIBR have been the much stronger team out here on Anubis. But when you get to these kind of score lines, right, where it is 10-9, I actually don't even think it matters who's played the better game so far. It's who comes up with the key rounds. It's who sets the reset. It's who gets the round streak. It's who disallows maybe mass players staying alive. Both teams would have a fairly equal chance of closing Anubis right now, even though MIBR would be slight favorites.
Molly sent mid, Searson backed up past the doorway, and Sani and Safe lined up. They do go 1 for 1 on the trade. TK involved in all. It's 4 on 4.
Watch out for JDC. He's already setting up that backstab outside B. We're seeing that this pretty consistently from Big now, is constantly making these info plays on B.
And the further control he takes, the further his teammate rotates back into the A stack. JDC seeing absolutely nothing up top mid.
Yeah, being really active. I like this, because now they can stack up A very heavily. They need to leave Process to watch out mid, but they can allow Tabson and Crimbo to crossfire on A.
Got Molotovs and smokes and flashes of the like to keep MIBR suppressed, blinded, and unable to access the A bomb site. They're still going to try to handle it though. HGs will do a little bit of damage. They'll flash their way forward. M4 close range. Crimbo goes 1 for 1. The M4 of Tabson, similar story. Exit turns to 2 versus 2. The bomb can get planted. And this backstab will have to combine to the retake. Process are going in early though.
He wants to try and drive distraction away. He wants to set up JDC for a bit of an easy pick from A main.
Safe is considering they're both coming from the exact same position, but JDC slow walks to it. Safe back turn right now. They check all those corners. Engagement on Process. 1v1 fight. AK known to backside. HG on exit. Gets him down to 4 points of health, and JDC wins another clutch for Big.
The 4th clutch for JDC in a single map. I cannot remember the last time I've casted a map, Jay, where one player has been able to clutch as much as he has. Fantastic. Late round situation. HE placement was perfect. Forced exit out in the open. Now, if Exit was on high HP, if he was on 100, he could have just stayed. He did not need a peek there from default. But as soon as he sees that coming in, he has to move out into the open.
So many situations where a fight's gone the other way. Perhaps MIBR would have closed this map already.
Well, Crimbo's won a single clutch. JDC's won 4. So that's 5, and Big have won 10 rounds. That's a bit ridiculous. You might get 5 clutches in an entire best of 3, not in one map.
The cash basis for MIBR still not exactly great. They'll go in for another half buy. Not to say that Big's cash basis is great either. They've got very little in the savings, and with the streak that's come in for the CT forces, we are looking at a no loss bonus. A reset at any point for MIBR. If they find one of these half-buy steals, it might send them, or should send them to map point. Probably take the map itself as well. These rounds resting on a knife edge. Perhaps Anubis does too. Smokes up. Execution about to come inbound towards that B bomb site. 2 players from main, 3 from electric. Mac 10 spam away, does get processed. First of all, JDC on the backside. Molotov out from Glyph. He takes his final towards Brendan. The M4 picked up, applied by Drop. Exit looking for the next player on the backside. One more coming forward, and Drop gets a double. Exit might burn to a 1G, but it's still a 1v3 for Crimbo.
And now the question is, does he attempt this? Is it worth it?
It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. 17 kills deep for him, has definitely been the top fragger of this game. Or at least for Big. The true top frag goes to Safe at 26. Crimbo doesn't even have a kit for this retake, so no chance that an Ninja. There is one actually in front of him, but they're too close, so he backs away. And MIBR indeed, half by steal in against Big. Reclaim the lead over the German squad. And we'll see what that does to the buy state for the Big camp. That 1M4 is going to be a bit of a saving grace, but it might be the only saver they have. Final tactical called in.
So Big have won 5 clutches, but they've lost 4 light investment rounds. So you can look at it both ways. You go, well, if there was less clutches, did MIBR win the game? And you could also look at it from Big and say, well, if they lost less anti-ecos, should they have won the game? It's been a very wild first map to this series.
Indeed.
And knowing that we've got Ancient next, which both teams really like, and both teams are quite successful on, we have got a very exciting best of 3 ahead of us. Vertigo is that decider too. Bit of a winning streak on that map for Big in recent history. MIBR. Well, they're in prime position to close. 11-10 up against a weakened buy. This is the moment where you win this game out 13-10.
This was pretty much Big's only chance to take Anubis. Molly's up. HG's down. Prods of MIBR slow as ever. Big not keen on contacting either.
An opening kill is going to be so required in a round like this for Big. Exit, setting up the molly for Electric to drive process away. Now I'm wondering when do we get this info play from a Crimbo or a Tabson? M4 out in mid, going to get smoked off from House. Sirison a little bit further behind. MIBR just defaulting at the moment.
We've got a minute to break that default. When they do, several fights that should be won against these pistol players, particularly Process. Example, Exit eliminates him, calls in for 2 more players on the CT defensive, 1 coming in from Temple, 1 back at Spawn, is actually breaking away to support that A-bomb site for a moment, but Big need to hunker down.
Yeah, Crimbo needs to deliver. The only person with a valuable weapon on B, he's got to be the guy to strike. He's going to flash JDC B main.
Gonna catch Insani off guard. Flash forward, he's just as blinded as the T-side players were. Swing back towards Electric, time's running short, and that bomb on a very last second rotation back from mid. A site is completely clear. They brought in the full-blown gamble stack at the worst possible moment. Only Tabsa can contest this from mid. He hasn't got the weapons to do so. JDC does get Exit, grabbing an AK, but it's a 4v4 from here, and Insani's gonna contest very early.
That is an insane call. I can't believe Exit has just pulled that off when it looked like it was going to crumble. Low time on the clock. B is a trap. There's mass players. Everyone is there. And the call, with no hesitation, is to move that bomb out of B, into mid, and into camera. Perfection at its absolute finest.
That's got to be fake of the year. Ridiculous. Silly stuff from MIBR, but it's working for them and for Big. Oh, Crimbo will at least get exits, but for the CT side, no man stays alive. That force buy to try and keep him alive, and now they've got 2 map points to try and bring back against with no money still, with no investment potential. It couldn't get worse.
And MIBR deserve it. They have been the better team out here on Anubis. They haven't been the team that's struggling to the low investments. They haven't been the team that's only winning rounds because of 1vx's. Stylistically, they have been all over big, and the scoreline is still very close. MIBR are in prime position to get this best of 3 started on the right foot.
Insani picks up Tapson. Kicking this round off on the right foot. Big. Just racking their brains of what they can possibly do to hold on to contest here on Anubis. The only silver lining is that it is MIBR's own map pick, but German squad running into them now. Crimbo ahead of that smoke bloom, fragged off, player into the smoke, also caught by Exit, drops JDC. And that is all she wrote for this map. 13-10, MIBR held on to resistance, may have lost a couple of clutches here and there. But ultimately, as you say, Dweg, they were the better team on map 1.
And if you are JDC, you are livid. You are absolutely fuming that you didn't take that map. He had an unreal performance. I'd even say he was an MVP player out there in map 1.
I would wholeheartedly agree, certainly so. Like, just like, what is it, 4 clutches is what he ended off with? Like, that's got to be such a silly remark. That is unbelievable situations for the big side. Because honestly, if he not had won those, it would have been much more one-sided for MIBR here. So, a lot to think about off the back of that map. A wild way to start the series, and I'm sure the desk has got plenty to say.
What a morning and an afternoon we are having of just fun things to talk about in Counter-Strike. Some silly things as well, and that map is what we're going to talk about right now. What did you think of that one, Yumi?
I mean, if you want to go first.
I would like to go
ahead.
first because I would like to explain that certain games are like roller coasters, okay? They go up, they go down, but then this game somehow managed to be like a really scary roller coaster because from the big perspective, it went down, then it went flat because they're like, hey, maybe we've stabilized because we got a clutch, and it went down again. Big was just going down, down, down. They somehow managed to find a roller coaster that never goes up.
I felt like I was in the meme format, like, you receive clutches, we receive low buy wins. It just, this game was all over the place. I couldn't rationalize what we were watching because there just seemed to be weaknesses from both teams, weird strengths as well being engaged. The end of this game was going to be very hard to call, but MIBR, I mean, they had some really heavy hitters that did bring them over the line, I think.
So would you argue, Yumi, that those heavy hitters were the reason that we saw MIBR claim their map pick at the end of the day?
I mean, I don't think without the duo in JDC and Crimbo doing what they were doing and winning all these clutches and all these weird scenarios, or if you didn't have Exit and Safe on the other side putting up some massive numbers for either squad, I don't think this game is close for either team, really. Like, this is why it was constantly hanging in the balance, those duos kind of basically duking it out.
Like, I think it was maybe more of a team effort than that, especially for the win to be able to come through. You know, obviously on MIBR we've got the very clear cut, Safe and Exit, but you also have to really credit MIBR's win to all the supportive cast that was there with them, right? You know, Tapson and Process really put in their heart with MIBR and made sure that the Brazilians were able to get past the finish line. And yeah, they just couldn't kill any of the 4 spies coming after them, couldn't really get any of the Tech-9 Deagle shots. There were so many situations where I see and I'm thinking, you know, this Molly isn't that bad, this nade isn't that bad, they're weakened up, this is like a 3-bullet spray down, and then it was just a 1-bullet ding coming out with the Tech-9. It was just a nice, not even as many Deagle shots, and this is why I think this was a much better experience for MIBR, because it is easier to lose clutches and rationalize at least we're doing things right to get to that point than it is to just be losing against 4 spies consistently and only finding rounds through miraculous clutches.
What were some of your favorite parts of Anubis?
I mean, we could start rolling some of them as well, because at the start of this game, I wasn't sure if anybody was going to be able to recoup or recover what we were seeing, either these clutches, these post plants, or whether they, Big would actually be able to deal with some of these low buy wins. I think out of the 6 or 7 they encountered, they maybe confidently addressed one of them. The rest were constantly hanging by a thread. At the start of this game, I was expecting that it would only be the start of this game that we'd see this, but it carried on throughout the entire map. I think it's actually kind of hard to nail down like what the actual favorite moment was, because there are just so many good rounds to pick from.
Yeah, the thing is, for Big, I know what their favorite moment was. It was the one round where MIBR ran through their own Molotov to do so much damage to themselves that tabseN's failed Molotov then became a good Molotov. And that's how they won it. There was one round that Michael's talking about that was very convincing against the Tech9s. That was the one where MIBR have to hurt themselves so that Big can feel better about themselves.
Yeah. I won't mistake this by saying that like Big played a perfect game. They definitely did not. And there was, I think, many examples of this, whether it was to them losing these low buys, or even some of the spacing that we saw them go out with on their T side. I think there were multiple times they tried to go into that A bomb site where they were just lined up for a player at bricks. That was, I think, Exit just kind of locking things down.
Exit and Sunny,
yeah, those are the types of scenarios where even if Big are postured up to take a bomb site and actually postured up to set them to set up a round win, they are not doing themselves any favors in those types of moments.
There's a lot of posturing, not a lot of hitting. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, JDC's got to be a little bit frustrated because all credit where credit's due. He was single-handedly trying to turn this around in Big's favor a few times there.
Yes,
yeah, no,
absolutely.
JDC played great.
Yeah, and look, JDC definitely has a lot of like JDC moments over there, but the problem is that you just didn't have the impact of people being lifted up by them. I really think that it was just so crippling for Big to then lose to 4 spies, and even when they're not losing, to be so heavily damaged by them, that there was no comfort to be found. This was the kind of game where I was begging for someone like CCT or Prosus or tabseN to lock into some eco frags, but because MIBR also managed their economy so well consistently, because MIBR was prioritizing Tech9s, because MIBR is getting bomb plants all the time, even when Big are winning rounds, you couldn't even have a confidence builder round despite JDC giving you all of these second wins.
We're moving on to Ancient now. Obviously, it is Big's map pick. So do you think that maybe they'll be able to bring it back and equalize the series, or is this MIBR's to take?
I even thought MIBR would pick into this map because I think they run a very confident Ancient. And sure, they have been rejigging up how much the space they give Insani and how aggressive he is going to be in the early stages of CT rounds. But I just think this is kind of the map that, in my mind, is what defined Insani as like a high impact player. He holds mid and takes mid so well on either side of the map.
And Sam, I know that I started this entire series off by talking about how MIBR must be really mentally frazzled between a 13-0 win and a 13-1 loss. I think this is going to be the exact same situation for Big over here. So it's not even that I think that MIBR's Ancient is the best right now. I actually think this is not the best iteration of MIBR on Ancient that we've seen, but they're still very good on it. And unfortunately, I have zero faith in Big to be able to mentally recover from that one. If not for this loss, if I was to independently look at an Ancient, I'd say Big was to take it away, but right now I am much more on the Brazilian side after this kind of capitulation from the Germans.
I'd also like to just highlight Safe on this map as well.
Yes.
Like if MIBR are going to have a very good time on CT side in particular, this was probably Safe's bread and butter map as well. Kind of what put him on the map from Pain into Furia, now into this MIBR roster. He is often, even if his team is struggling, he's able to find good impact. If he's somehow mitigated, that could be a way in for Big, I think.
My analysts are feeling a little bit frustrated by some of the Counter-Strike they're seeing, so we're going to take a quick break so we can calm them down, and hopefully they'll feel a little bit better after that.
Get it in. The world is changing, but one thing remains the same. Victories with 1xBet.
Pick and live. Make your choice. Play begin and get your prize.
Well, MIBR indeed do take their own map pick. Things now looking possibly turning around for the big side. I mean, off the back of how things went on that first map, with how few times they held a lot of confidence in terms of their whole team lineup, I have to wonder how far things can go. I've got a lot of things on my mind, Greg. I'm thinking about that last best of 3 that we saw from MIBR, how BetBoom were able to respond to the sheer confidence of the Brazilians and take that series overall. Yeah. I'm thinking about how Ancient as a map up has not really seen a lot of outside of domestic success as well for the Brazilian side and all. So again, on paper, I'm thinking about these things that have happened in history and thinking that Big probably should contest, but I've also just seen some real wild stuff today.
I'm convinced it's 2-0, simple as that. I think for MIBR, they're the far better team in this matchup. I think Big were very lucky to even get as many rounds as they did. And JDC and Crimbo are going to be very reliant. I think if they have another good performance between the two of them, then it's going to aid Big to try to really compete out here on Ancient. And for MIBR, they know, okay, let's not drag this out to another third mapper, right? Like, if we've got another best 3 to play today, let's close this out in 2. We know that we're strong on this map of Ancient.
Yeah, victor, of course, in this series goes to our final match of today's proceedings. The loser of the Astralis BetBoom matchup will be playing in the decider game for Group D. So it would be very important to try and obviously get the victory here to avoid elimination above all else, but also try and clean it up real quick. And for MIBR at 2-0, just to start to get themselves relaxed and get ready for that particular matchup, I mean, it's certainly up to task for them at the moment. Again, I don't disagree with you that they played the better series, but the point that you also mentioned during that map is the fact that if half those clutches didn't go the way of the Big side, then MIBR would have closed it much more quickly. Equally, though, if Big were better at dealing with those half-buy rounds, then perhaps it would have been them being able to take it back all the same. Like, it's that little, again, there's a lot of dynamics towards this match that make me think, what if above all else?
Yeah, you're always going to have that, right? And I think it's easier to reflect on it once it's happened rather than looking into the future. But all that tells me on map 1 is that Big are very unstable and that they're not consistent at all. And I'll always rate consistency above clutches. And for that reason, for MIBR, yeah, okay, some of their results have been weak against international competition, the couple of officials that they played against Heroic. But I just think with the amount of local success that they've had and the idea of prepping into this tournament, they would have tried to get their Ancient as strong as possible against Big.
Oh, it's time for the German map pick. A chance to bounce back in this series and try and take us to a third. It would be the 6th map of the day for MIBR if we go that far, as the Pistol of Ancient will see them start on the CT side.
Yeah, for Ancient, you've got to be looking out for Insani and Brenzen to be the 2 go-to guys for MIBR. Exit deep out in A, playing a very heavy A retake.
You know, smoke set, exit, USP. Not opting for any blind shots. I mean, he does take some. He's just missed the mark against the big crosses, so plant should be secure. They're a little bit far away from the retake. They're still looking for some sort of opening engagement here. And Big, a similar story as they back up to the back lines.
A safe will probably smoke off either Donut or A main. The flash is going to have to be perfect.
Process around the corner. Flash sent over, and Process just mows through them. Triple not quite found. Drop takes 2 of his own right. Is Julie set alongside Exit's USP. Take the man advantage back. HP over likes the Searson. Seeing his backup. Both players well known about. They can get on that defuse and hold it down. There's a kit in play. 4-5-second body blocks and all evolved.
Searson dropped. Tabson takes 2 picks, but Exit's there to close out the pistol for MIBR.
And I really feel for Process there because he's in a situation where he's in a 1 for done angle. No one is in trading positions from him. So waste time. get damage off, and then set up the players in Donut and A-Main for the late rounds. He gets 2 kills instantly. Where's the assistance? Where's the response? In the end, the swing out from Big Box gets overwhelmed. And right there, once they spot both players towards A-Main, MIBR just know, get onto that bomb and just protect him.
Start for the Brazilian camp. Big. Couldn't get an early lead during that last map up. Try and answer back like MIBR did in that second round of Anubis. Positions held, aggression in towards lane. One player at elbow, there's a number of players to find on the big side. The engagement of Drop sees Process just diving out of the way, instantly has to back off.
Big are going to be fairly slow on the majority of their T-side defaults, so maybe this is an insertion for MIBR to take a lot of territory away and fight for map control. JDC looking up towards Shelf. There's a couple of players there, but no vision being seen.
Just being suppressed by further utility. MIBR, fresh smokes on elbow and the B door. Got none left, just one flash available for exit. Have to hold down that defensive over in the A-bomb site. So from the 40-second marker, the chance to hit will come through from Big, but they themselves don't have any flash utility of their own. Can't take any advantage. Jules going to be dry about this. Tabson and Process do find those trades. Drop takes one with him, but Crimbo able to maintain a 3-on-2 for Big.
Now, MIBR crumble with the aggressive setup towards lane, and Process is in a strong position to fight against the CT rotations.
Safe coming in, heard that drop off, that footstep. Flash turned away from Spray, he's a little bit awkward. Safe comes up good for it. JDC responds safe, solo HP. Crimbo can hold together the double, and indeed Big will answer back.
And for MIBR's sake, they'll be disappointed there. Maybe if they held one more smoke. If they didn't smoke off elbow, right? If they kept that for the B doors, could that have been a bit of a helping hand? Brenton needs one, and Insani was sort of getting involved in the mix, but you want to be coming out on top there, or at least even at a minimum. Big. Coming out of B doors without a flash is so difficult, and they actually brute force the trades nicely.
And found themselves up a man by the time they took the bomb site. And even in that previous round, the idea of not smoking off elbow, there was still a lurker out there, so Big could have tried to counter that with their own backstab. Very difficult situation for MIBR to play with that utility basis, and they don't have much utility to work with here either. Have forced the issue. Have got themselves upgrade pistols again. A couple of smokes being utilized. Now the last one available for drop.
And for MIBR, you're going to need a bit of an advantage in a round like this. Otherwise, it turns into a complete gamble stack, which actually is happening right now. Exit is maintaining both Donut and A-Main by himself. And while that's happening, everyone can just get 4 on B. Just hold tight crossfires. And if they are leaning towards B, that's the best chance of winning the rounds.
A lot of ramp aggression here from MIBR. Flashed in, kill persists, didn't dink down by the 1 PT50. Grimro's going to come up with support, and indeed he gets that support in. Just the HP bars tagged up on the big side. No casualties taken. Plant to be secured. Round is done. At least they don't fall down to upgrade pistols this time.
And you do have to expect from Big's POV, they are a team in this group that should be making the playoffs. With how experienced they are, with how frequently they're playing up at Tier 1, they need to look at teams like a MIBR or even a BetBoom and say, we should be beating you. Astralis? Probably not. But the other two, absolutely. But it's about putting that result up onto the board. And as of right now, we are yet to see Big win a map in the group stage. A 2-0 loss against the Danes, map down on Anubis. At least, losing the pistol but winning the next couple of rounds has set themselves up for a 3-1 beginning.
Now, despite what you might say about Big as a team, they do compete at a Tier 1 level. Appeared at Katowice, appeared at Blast, appeared at Pro League, obviously. The standards that they've set for themselves have got to be to at least contest the likes of the group exit, or rather the group qualification to playoffs.
I mean, even just with the players they have in the roster, knowing that there's a coach, there's 2 assistant coaches, there's an analyst. I mean, the wage bill must be so high there at Big that when you come into these online tournaments, you can't get grouped. You just can't do.
MIBR may still provide that as a reality. Not possibly in this round, but in the match overall, they still lead by a map. Still very early doors, of course. Execution towards that B bomb site, seeing the smokes and molotovs come down very quickly. The USBs will try to, they can take any more rifles away from Big. It's very unlikely that they find much. All the HGs all day. Drop and Brenton dealt with, and, well, what can you do?
Not a lot in a round like this. You've got to focus up on the rifles. I speak about it quite frequently, that when you lose the force by wars, especially on city side, you are always going to be limited and restricted to the first gun rounds. They're not going to see that AWP into the hands of Safe. I might even have a player here or there go down to a FAMAS just to get that extra util. I'll be keen to keep my eyes on just how many kits are being invested. Exit. If you can hold on to the Kevlar, then that's a little bit of an added bonus for the next rounds.
He's going to get challenged here, though. Crimbo doesn't extend that far. X actually does look for an exit frag, but dealt with by Searson, so that Kevlar doesn't stay in. MIBR will up for their first gun buy of the map.
And for Big, win this first gun round to get yourself up 5-1. And you'll be in a very positive position to start driving in a good scoreline at the turn of the half. Make it very uncomfortable for MIBR, maybe make them quite gambly on the CT line. And there's that conversation about the FAMASs. 3 being invested just to get the extra util.
Process first man into the B site. Contact did spot the man on the back site. Meanwhile, engagements out towards main, and the mid presence is going to get exit to drop. JDC hunting for Insanity. Low HP on his part. And Drop gets overwhelmed by Process. The execution continues out towards that B bomb site. Brenton's caught completely flash blinded. Spam down by Tabson. JDC got his target in the end. Multifaceted attack from Big, and it works out well to leave 1 player versus 5 on MIBR. Save will catch 1 exit. He's got to save.
I don't really know what happened there. I mean, it was quite chaotic, wasn't it? We're sort of watching out for JDC in mid, and all the B picks are coming in. A big overall through that lurk smoke to allow the walk up from Process. Now, we didn't see a lot of that in
Go, but certainly in CS2, a lot of teams on T-side are throwing that lurk smoke, draws further utility, allows that sort of walk and contact potential. MIBR. I would say, right, especially in MR12, winning pistol and losing the anti-force buy on the CT side can actually just lose you maps, because it just puts you in such a dire position that we're seeing right here. You come into the first gun round, you've got limitations, you lose that one, you're 1-5 down. It's an awful start for the Brazilians.
A major back foot set in by the efforts of Big.
And I think that's why the community is screaming for an economy change, because this is a prime example of it.
And we discussed before, you and I, Dwayne, about how so little breathing room you have on MR12. Good streak going that can end you the map. A couple of good rounds can change the complexion of an entire map.
Just look at that last best of 3. 13-0 and 13-1. We're getting a lot more blowouts than we used to get in Go. And that's where being the safety net, right, of winning those key rounds early on the game are going to either survive you or just drop you completely. Big will feel quite comfortable in the scenario that they brought themselves in.
They're mostly able to replicate what happened in the last map to start things off, just in reverse. MIBR took the pistol, being on a 4-round streak to return. Looking for number 5 to make it pretty much perfect before MIBR will strike back. Molotov set in, CT side are just going to push the issue over on Searson. He'll get that first pick, but Safe is fast to respond all the same. The pistol of Insanity tapping his way forward against JDC. Going to provide a little bit of breathing room for the AK to strike, and indeed he gets that kill. Now his back's going to be turned towards one CT contact. Safe ends up with a triple. 20 points of health for him. Brendan's caught an M4. 3-on-2 situation here, favourable to MIBR, but only by a small margin of HP.
It's the lack of Kevlar for the other players that's going to make this so tough, even with the man advantage. Double backstab towards A main.
Safe leading the charge with Brenzin. The AK of Tabson reveals himself and catches the shoulder of Safe. Deagle strikes back over at Donut. Tabson with his back turn. Couldn't time that better for Brenzin. Now Crimbo. 1-on-2. Getting their way up towards the bomb site. Trying to see if they can get on that defuse soon. They haven't got a lot of time to play with here. Full 10-second stick. Spray through. Brenzin down. Exits. Don't get off that bomb and loses life to the AK. Respectable damage done there by MIBR, but it's still number 5 for Big.
As soon as you know that you are up against a lightened buy, you know there's going to be no kit. Very rarely will there be a kit invested. So if you are Crimbo, you just fight the A main player, you waste the time, you hear the footstep, it's just done. But for MIBR, it hurts. Because it's so many 1vXs given forward as victories for Big.
It's 5 on the trot. Crimbo. Showboating a little bit.
Understandably so.
It's another clutch. It's another opening for exit, though, out towards mid. JDC flashed off, blinded by Safe. Brenzin follows suit as well on the B defense. Process court extended ahead of that smoke over at ramp, so 2-man advantage. They're trying to force trades against him, but all they're doing is disrupting the position, dislodging the MIBR defense.
And finally, MIBR have been able to adapt to that lurk smoke and actually catch off Process making the aggressive move. Orp is watching out from Shelf, but it's actually just a timing missed.
Swing spray, kills, fouled on drop, and Insani, absolute decimation from MIBR, and that's a bit more like it.
Yumi was kind of talking about it on the desk, right? Some of the concerns about Sirison. All I'll say, Jay, is that you've got a big academy player out on loan of hype to alternate attacks that is absolutely farming in Tier 2 right now. A guy that even played on the main roster at once upon a time.
A call back may be viable.
I'm sure a lot of these kind of decisions are going to be made depending on the results for Big moving into the player break.
Well, Searson, I expect them to hang on to at least we go to the summer.
Oh, you would hope so.
Give them at least a little bit of a chance to play out these last handful of tournaments. And again, especially seeing how far Big will go at Dallas. Quick in from Big. Tabson leading the charge for the bomb plant down. They've not gained a man advantage here. MIBR Process about to gain it here against potentially 2 players in mid. Sneak back from the lane, being watched by 1 CT, but not forever. Insani still finds the drop on him.
Perfect timing to watch that backstab. JDC out towards A main, play from Donut with the AWP.
Incendiary burning Searson down to 40 points of health. Tabson gonna try and swing for further fights back at spawn over at Temple. An engagement from the man finds Safe. Advantage now for the T side. They tap that bomb, exit trades, drop responded to. 1 man left involved in this HGs from Tabson on site, but JDC has the main entrance and has the kill that wins another one for Big.
And right there, you've got a heavier B play for MIBR, and Big, it's just a perfect call. So that last previous gun round, it was an overwhelming aggression down from lane. So you call the quicker A. You come out from A main, you take the bomb side, and there's just no one there, is there? There's basically no line of defense whatsoever. It comes down to a heavy retake, and JDC once more has been a top performer for Big in this best of 3.
But he's not alone up there. Crimbo top fragger, Tabson similar numbers as JDC, Searson 1 behind those 2. Big. Establishing minimums on their T side of this ancient pick. Bam map decision in the best of 3, and so far it is looking exactly like it. MIBR. And they've been given a couple of opportunities to really get involved in this in the pistol win, which didn't convert in the rifle in the last round, which did look extremely confident, but the follow-ups look better for Big side of things. Even though Drop gets the opening kill, he's been tagged extremely low alongside Brenzin, but JDC whiffing all of his bullets out there at Shelf leaves Tabs in the trade on exit and Insanity to stick around for another response.
It's been a very high tempo mid-round, hasn't it? In the majority of these rounds, just constant overfighting, constant damage trying to be disrupted. MIBR have pretty much everyone on B.
The bomb's out there at the doors, however, Crimbo, they look to change that. With the HP being as low as it is for MIBR, perhaps that is the reason why they've gone for this gamble stack. Unfortunately for them, they've left a big old gap in defense that Safe is going to try and cover off here. Won't be wary of exactly where the T's are repositioned to. A push from Ramp actually might get the information they need.
AWP is going to post. Now, depending on the timing, actually might be able to catch the T scaling out of Donut.
Safe watching the edge of the box. Crimbo. Ooh, just out of his periphery, back to turn. The AWP barrel has been seen. The Molotov close to bomb site. Crimbo's going to get spotted as his tabs and adjusted. Safe. Oh, the flick not connecting too close is Crimbo, who spams him down. 3 on 2, but no time's left for it. Safe has done enough to give MIBR the round.
That's a very good round there from Safe. Positions himself in an angle where he knows that there's one Donut. He knows that there's one default, so he wants to deal with Grimbo first, and then all of a sudden, he starts seeing the bomb come out from A main, so of course, that's going to be the first shot that you connect. And as soon as he gets that kill, that's it. Nothing else can be done.
Yeah, third on the board of the Brazilian side. Tacticals called in by Big. First one of the game. We're very liberal with that usage out on Anubis. And for good reason, because of the back foot they were playing from. This time, trying to hold on to as much of this T side as possible. MIBR trying to run back into contesting this even stance at a half. They have got a rebuy against them here. It is a broken state for Big.
And we actually probably will see a lot of buys like this for the tail end of this half. Just because of the loss bonus and with how many players are dropping on the majority of these rounds, we're not going to see pretty buys.
Needs to open up the elbow smoke, look towards contact. Drop's going to find Process, trying to disappear behind that smoke. Advantage again for MIBR.
A full lane coverage, and JDC just gets dinked by the spam out there from Red Room. Oh, this is a poor start from Big, because now Insanity can peek, but he's struggling with the M4. So much damage done, but not a single kill gain.
Searson and JDC are so tradable, though. Exit set up towards Donut, receiving flashes his direction. He's turning away from them, hearing the footsteps, seeing the shadow. Searson caught dead to rights. Tabson's right around that corner. Shoulder seen, engagement found, bomb dropped, and that's round.
Man, the chaos in some of these rounds are just mental right now.
But it all stabilizes for MIBR's favor.
Oh, here we go. Crimbo 1v4.
No, not a clutch. Not this time.
Can you imagine that? That one might actually break MIBR forever.
It might break poor Michael on the desk, mate. I've been seeing him getting more and more unhinged as the day has gone on.
There's only been one clutch in this map so far for Big, so it doesn't feel right. Maybe the CT side. Maybe the second half we get a bit more.
There's number 4 for MIBR. Big. Now just have to take the upgrade pistols with no further support around it. No util or Kevlar doesn't stop Crimbo from doming in Insanity. Struggled in the last round in the red. Won't even get a chance to strike here on this one. Save, however, is good for the trade.
Safe for the AWP. Bang, shot there onto JDC. And honestly, I think he was a bit of like a farmer out on map number 1. Not that many round-defining plays, but really consistent with just the numbers overall that he posted.
Ooh, Process. Deagle again strikes back. The AK overwhelmed by the pistol numbers, so they do get a bomb plan out of this round here, Big. 2 on 2 for MIBR on a retake. Footsteps were heard back there towards lane.
Yeah, it's the lack of armor. That's the only issue that Big have in this 2v2.
One has a rifle. That nade's not even going to get anywhere near Searson. Exit going to get hard. Safe going to check it. Process. 1 on 2. Backed up. Flashed against. Pre-firing. Doesn't catch a headshot. Doesn't catch a spray. And Safe to ensure this defuse is not contested. It's 5 on the board of MIBR. 1 more in the half. 1 more to evens.
And when you consider that this was a 6-2 scoreline, you're probably thinking, okay, let's roughly 8-4, around that kind of marker. This could actually be 6-6. I would say this has been a really strong recovery for MIBR in the late section of this first half.
Allowed the 6-2 score. Well, they started bringing this back and may again sort of close out at 6 apiece. Quick in from one man over at ramp. Drop wins that fight. So tagged up, but headshots are perfect on Process.
That's actually crazy that he wins that one. Nading open the smoke, and Sunny doesn't struggle this time around. Safe even aggressively in towards A main, wins out a pick.
Yeah, 2 less standing for Big as a result. Searson discovered as Insanity jump faces for info. He's heavily tagged. I have no idea how that Glock didn't finish off the kill. 15 HP for the man, but well aware of his exact positioning. They're going to continue fighting. Safe's going to come up with that AWP pick once again. Tabson, 1 versus 5. Several players are extremely low, and 4 of them on the CT side have been tagged, with the Beast bomb site being gained for Tabson, though. As soon as he plants this, it's a big old signal flare. Come and get me and fend off a 5-on-1 retake.
And now I'm starting to wonder, Jay, that is the scoreline even misreading to who's been the stronger team out here on Ancient? Remember, that second round that Big were able to win was a force buy, and then that first gun round featured MIBR with 3 for Masters and Lucky Util. So for them to actually tie it up at 6 apiece, I would say is quite the positive. Tabson just trying his best to get a few of these kills just to try and see what this clutch could be made of, but he's always going to get overwhelmed. MIBR, I'm happy with the performance they put up there.
Considering how much worse it could have been, you can't be disappointed. 6 apiece from the differentials that easily could have come through for them. I mean, it was a 6-2 at one point. So 2 thumbs up for me on the CT side. However, it's the T half now. But MIBR will have to surge ahead if they want this 2-0.
And for MIBR, they are going to be a team that are going to give the fight back to Big, but it's about being consistent. Didn't see many clutches there for the German side out in the first half. Weren't really required a lot of the time in the early rounds. MIBR can taste victory. And again, closing into has big ramifications to the break, to the overall strain of potentially playing 9 maps in a single day of Counter-Strike.
Process pistols first and foremost up to contact. Pistol of the second half, facing in against the Glocks. His back was turned, was so focused on Insanity, hoping they can get that opening pick with JDC's combination. Instead, it's a man down, MIBR. Press on the B side.
Searson doesn't have a lot of support at the moment, so a couple of spam kills through these smokes might help out.
JDC will find one on Insanity, taking away that mid presence, but 4 players on the execution. No spam shots will seemingly come through. A little bit of damage done towards Safe. He'll plant that bomb, however. Retake. Trying to get set in as Searson does catch a kill through the smoke. JDC also gets drop. Aggression from Brenzin dealt with by Searson. Now Exit is all alone. Backed away in a 1 versus 3. Hearing those footsteps up to the site, they know roughly, well, actually they don't know roughly where he is. Thought those footsteps would have given away the game. Now he certainly has been hurt by Tabson. Fights, not quite engaging the headshots, drawing them out into the open, but ultimately to his demise. Big will take the pistol.
I just felt there for MIBR that not enough space was being taken once they got the bomb down. They were trying to challenge out to long, but being smoked off, it made it quite difficult. You got players running through. And JDC won a very important kill down there from Shelf. I mean, players completely blind, and JDC still comes up with damage. MIBR will probably buy it up here. Bomb plant, couple of casualties, look to try and win the force.
And we saw how Big carry forward on their force, so MIBR will try and do the same thing. It's like it was on Anubis as well. Tacticals have been called in for the second time for MIBR though, so there is a wider game plan at stake. Question is, can they turn it to success?
Yeah, this round probably could decide who wins Ancient. For Big, win this one without a bomb plant, get yourself up 9-6, have a lot of leverage in the first gun rounds, security with rounds, whereas for MIBR, reset them, take the lead, put pressure on the favorites, bait out mistakes. This force buy will give us a lot of a tell of the ramifications.
Burst damage done on Process. The Galil almost finding Tabson's angle, turning away from a HE, thinking it was a flashbang. The kill on that B-bomb site comes up to man advantage. Crimbo extends it to two. Two players outside the main, still inbound though. He's going to get caught as he tries to escape that fire. The smoke down should provide a little bit of cover towards CT. Donut is the concern for JDC and his FAMAS contested by the likes of Insanity, trying to buy some breathing room for the plant to come down. And indeed, it could do so, but it's CT's coming up real quick. Sears with a responsive Process for another. Galil back, double up, safe. Knows exactly that Process is tagged somewhere. Sees him at the edge of the smoke because he's caught almost on the reload. He still wins the fight and still wins one for MIBR.
I actually think that's the first clutch that we've seen MIBR win all series so far. We've seen Big win 6 of them. That's a massive feeling. Now, first off in that round, Eggs is just trying to sell the B fake. He's trying to get up there with the lurk smoke. He's trying to force the over-rotation, and instead, Crimbo doesn't move. Crimbo does a good job. This is the big and impactful kill from Insani. The CTs try and drive out from Temple and Big Box quickly. Low HP on Process on the last player. Thought for a moment might get caught, still reloading. Massive clutch from Save.
4 kills in the round for the man, and Big will waste no time trying to take the fight back to them. Force the issue. Galil up close. Did spot one player to 5-7. Does force down Safe though, grabbing the bomb carrier and everything. Turn that spray into a second, not quite. Drop gets in. Meanwhile, Brenzin has turned his Mat 10 into a couple of picks. A 3-on-2 ensues. Favor of MIBR. But Crimbo's going to be there for the trade. Drop has got to get involved once again.
Oh, this is so messy. And Sirison, oh, this kind of range with the Scout's not easy.
Does Dome drop though? 1 versus 1. Out of 2 kills that Searson needs to clutch this round. Another clutch situation. Exit. Given Dominion over the bomb, can pick it up as Searson backs away with the better weapon involved in this. Smoke down from the T-side player is going to reveal. He's playing around this elbow angle. He's so wary of Searson.
Now, Searson has dropped the Scout for the AK, but he doesn't have any armor, so the aim punch is going to hurt.
Galil better be ready for this. AK check. Sit, exit, still wins the fight. And indeed, that aim punch did come back. No clutch for Big once again. That's 2 clutches in a row for MIBR.
And for MIBR, it's got to feel like sweet victory. So the timing on that is crazy, because Crimbo is heard out from mid, and then JDC just sneaks through the smoke. Man, what is happening? Like, what actually is this best of 3?
I'm going to take that as a rhetorical question because I've got no answers for you, Dwayne.
I think he would have been better on the Scout as well, rather than picking up that AK.
Quite possibly. It's awkward stuff. 5-7 charging in. Look at the damage done to the T side already, but still not enough to get the kills on Process on Tabson.
So Big have bought again here, Jay, because of how many players dropped in that last round.
Hoping to find the reset against MIBR, but this could allow a 10-7 to ensue. We've seen that once in this series already. Scoreline stands to MIBR 1-4. Utility down, Scout here, knows that there's been tagged up individuals. Can he land those shots though? First one misses, second one does connect, actually forcing out a TK on Insani. JDC is fallen in turn though, lined up against the T-side contact, and further sprays will actually lead to a little bit more of a back foot for MIBR on a HP once again. The Scout did connect through the smoke, but doesn't connect on the planter here. Bomb is secured, and Crimbo and Searson have very little breathing room, so they opt just to fall back and hold on to these weapons once again. Couldn't compound the damage, couldn't steal the round.
MIBR are in a real tasty position right now. Because you're right, force buy up again, you lose it out. Eco in the next, it is going to be double digits. And for MIBR, they've had to work hard in this series. This has not been a leg up at all. I don't suppose any group stage game is going to be easy with the level of competition that we've got here in CCT. Sirison with some good exit frags, and do you know what I'm thinking? Don't tell me they're going to buy again. Don't tell me they're going to look at 2 saved in players. Maybe if there was another kill, maybe if there was only 1 alive that you buy again there.
Third time's the charm.
Oh, no, 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 no.
And big, you mentioned earlier, bigger team that typically like to go a little bit more passive on their force invest. But
yeah, I was even surprised they bought last rounds, to be completely honest.
Contrary to the trends. And Big opt not to go for the buy this time. A little bit of util bought in and a few upgrade pistols make it more of a half invest. Stack up the money to the gun buy. 9 on the board of MIBR trying to extend to 10.
Big need to keep this round expensive, but Safe is having back-to-back impactful maps. He might just be a difference maker on this T side as he gets another kill with that AK at ramp.
Awkward nades there from Tabson, gets overwhelmed by Safe and 8 HP for his own part of things. Triple in the round. 2 left for Big. Deagle close to JDC, does take damage and does give away his position. Overwhelmed by Insanity and Brenzin. Nothing that Crimbo can do here. No further damage against MIBR. Will be allowed to bolster up. Get a bit more cash involved. 10-7 now for the Brazilian squad. Big need to contest the next buy round.
And it's very easy on the criticism for Big to basically just slander on the lack of firepower, the lack of players that could be star individuals. But I do look at map 1 and say, okay, Process finished on 9 kills, Tabson finished on 10. And we're now going into their map pick where they were up 5-1 and 6-2, and they're now down by 3 rounds. And Process is still on 7, and Tabson is still on 10. The numbers are low. The individual players aren't there in the comparison to MIBR.
Three in the lead. Big. Bring some weapons back. Bring the M4s and the AWP in play. Weakened element is Tabson on the SMG. Mid presence established by JDC and Crimbo. JDC is going to be the man that aggresses towards the elbow contact. Smokes are in the way to block vision. Early smokes coming in towards that A bomb site. Further flashes towards mid. JDC is going to get caught off for it. His teammate Tabson is the man to take the casualty. Flashes are pretty good, however, to allow the peek forward, but Insanity is still alive here. The Incendiary is forced out to the open. Crimbo does get 2 kills on a lineup. Exit forced to trade.
Oh, AWP strikes out towards A-main as well. MIBR now have to kind of halt and make a counteraction. They've got to try and read this mid-round, and they look like they want to try and fight the AWP that's rotating into Red Room.
Slow and quiet, cross back into red, and indeed Searson wins that fight. But is he aware of exit? He may well be. 1 on 3. Clutch attempt for MIBR this time. But he is being watched from the CT entryway. And slowly but surely there might be a push back in from that mid presence. I mean, they basically have all their options locked out.
And this should have been the round-winning play to the match-winning play for MIBR. Opening kill out there from Shelf. They knew that Crimbo was aggressively from Donut, so we'll see it on the replays, but they should have been able to trade him 1-for-1. Insanity was able to get out to the bottom of the Xbox at Shelf. If you can at least get a bomb down, you can protect the economy.
Tapping it against Process to peek forward. Oh no, timing's off. Exit. Didn't hold on forever. He won't hold on at all. Big. Needed that buy round, needed that win. It's what they'll get. MIBR won't let up.
A massive double from Crimbo. Flash, let's see it again. Oh, a bit of a lineup. Oh, that is tasty. That is nice. Oh, what a shot as well from Sirison.
Shadow advantage. well placed on their own part of things, 10-8. Another rifle round that could well lead towards an even stance for Big. MIBR, their own heavy investments, but can still afford all the main weapons here. Utility thrown down towards that lane presence and mid control. It's the HEs on Insanity that get the most chunk damage done. tabseN's blind sprays evading the returnings of MIBR. Little bits of chip damage just adding up ever so slowly. But yet to find an opening frag for Big.
Siriuson's been quite positive on the NWP, constantly searching for opening fights. Now, Insani's in a strong position where he's evaded the AWP's contact, so he can actually exploit Red Room off of this.
JDC doesn't even suspect it. Drop, just straight swings the big green. And JDC is forced to trade. I thought he was going to get caught off guard, but Insanity instead is down. Crimbo is without support for the time being, but two are on the way. Another push in also from Process will start to clear out the back lanes of the B bomb site. Smoke's involved towards main as Crimbo holds against the donut presence of the mass numbers of MIBR players. JDC has seen them as well. Does get 2 kills. Exit, dropping the bomb. The AK of Brenzin turns back to a 2 versus 2. 1 versus 2 now. JDC ends up with an ace to keep Big going.
JDC should have actually been dropped there from Red Room. Insani has got the jump on him completely, knows that he's rotating in, hears those footsteps, Pika's advantage, but cannot win that duel. If he wins that first one, that's it. Round is over. It's a 5v3. Crimbo is the only player on A. He's going to get sandwiched. JDC fighting out from CT towards that default box. That is a stellar round from him.
A stellar player in his own right. Man of the moment who was near the top end of the board alongside Crimbo in the last map up now. Matching his numbers, but still behind CCT in his AWP, which just fought the opening frag on Insanity. HG's doing damage to these pistol players. This should be a simple affair for Big. And see the second kill and the third one comes in from CCT. Fourth player known about, bomb and all. The safe gets picked up out towards that B bomb site, so exit. Won't be lasting long here. Big equalized 10 apiece. And this is where things will need to come together for them now. Literally exact same circumstances as the tail end of Anubis. Same halves and everything. MIBR pulled ahead 3 rounds in a row. Is that going to be the same situation here?
Well, for MIBR, they just need to relax. They're in a position where they've had 2 back-to-back gun rounds of man advantages, but they haven't closed. You could say that's a bit of a choke. You could say that that's the young squad struggling against Big, but it's still 10-10. Heavy out to lane. Could be a B-pop.
JDC alongside tabseN leaning in. HG's down already to do some damage. Safe Sword watching. Flash forward for the aim. For to engage. tabseN with 2. Safe responds back. But the advantage sits with Big, and JDC might extend it. They haven't accounted for a second shelf player. Process caught. M4 sneaks in. Safe's going to check it! I can't believe he had the wherewithal to flick back for the triple and take the advantage for MIBR.
What a round from Safe. Oh my goodness. Could he get the ace to now return the JDC one? That is an unrelentless pick out there at shelf. And I think that bottom ramp is being watched from the behind the B doors. If Siriuson overextends too far, Exit's going to catch him.
Or Press has no idea. There's the spray. There's the kill. MIBR. Zan's about to receive Crimbo. This might be a trade for the M4, but now they know that B site's open. They'll plant down. They'll set up the post. A clutch required. We've seen many of them from Big. And not least the man of Crimbo had much of an impact over on Anubis, but HG's down against him. The AWP, well known about the rifles, taking very little damage to those nades put out by the CT man. Safe to sponge a bit more, 23 points of health for him. Flash is turned over. Safe trying to make his way up to position. Crimbo trying to get to the bomb site. He hasn't got much time with him. And the AWP lands himself a quadra. What a round from Safe. I'm speechless. I genuinely don't know what spurred him to look back around towards the the cheater entrance, but that was the difference maker in the round. JDC should have had that trade every day of the week. Wow.
Well, I'll tell you why. First off, Jay, it's an aggressive lane play, isn't it? tabseN was already fighting up there from top shelf. Now, you are very rarely going to fight aggro shelf with one player. You normally always have two. So the fact that you dealt with tabseN and got the cheater pick, that's why Safe is waiting for that third player.
Big. Starting to suffer on their buy-state. tabseN's aggression once again. The flashbang catching CSN so dead. Brenzin makes 2 own trees happen on the B-bomb site. The round is done. The map may be done. It's certainly match point for MIBR.
Oh, man. Let that settle. We've just had MIBR slow play the last couple of rounds. Even that last one, Jay, they set up out of lane. They didn't commit. And they just go in for the B-pop, don't they? It's so much more aggressive than what we've seen previously.
Even JDC is not allowed to survive. Picked up by Insani. Crimbo is also getting hunted. Drop and exit. Crimbo does defend himself, but there's still plenty of time for MIBR to get up to position. They get a little back towards main. Does get fought upon. Taking rifles away from T-side hands, but they know that they're going to be able to buy in the next. They know if they take this M4 away, then they're going to have nothing. They won't reach the man in time, so at least that M4 stays, but it will still be a decimated buy around it.
And for Big, when you're up 5-1 and 6-2 on your map pick on a T-side of Ancient, you are expected to be the team on map point. You are expected to be the team that leads by example. But now they find themselves against series point of MIBR on what is probably the worst buy that you could ask for. At least the M4 is still in play. That is a golden shining star that's on the back of Crimbo. But what about everyone else? We're going to see pistols and MP9s.
Mirror images of the last map. Except this mirror comes twisted at the tail end, and Big see history repeating itself just an hour later. Insani has already caught Crimbo. 1 frag taken, 1 man down. HG's Molly sent damage up against CSN, has tagged him to 65 points of health. Exit trying to get involved beyond the wall bangs. Flashes forward for the CT side, might overwhelm Safe. Indeed they do. JDC and Process come up. Massive sequence from the 2, a 4-on-2 as they have bomb control.
Oh, it's falling apart. It's a complete crumble. This was the round to win. This was the round to close for MIBR. Won the opening pick, dealt with the M4 out of all of the players. But there wasn't enough of a pack. I can't believe they're separated in that man advantage. Players out towards lane, 2 on A. Oh, this is completely just disaster for MIBR.
And now the onus flips. Destiny twists again. These 2 rifles having to stay in play. MIBR in on the run-up. Don't have the cash to play with. Loss bonuses won't stack that high. And Big maintaining their lifeline, maintaining number 11 and trying to maintain themselves here on Ancient. We'll play the full 24 rounds. And this one is for all the marbles.
And Sani can at least drop over a Galil to exit. This, oh man, if you're Big, that's a gift, isn't it? That is the best gift that you could have asked for. The buy state is excellent. Saving onto an AWP, saving onto an M4, saving onto double AKs for tabseN and Process. If you are Big, you could not have been given a better opportunity to push this into overtime. You know that there's going to be restrictions of the buy on the opposition. You know there's going to be limitations somewhere. For MIBR, they just need to close. They need to be the team with the 2 series points to claim one of them.
The final tactical for MIBR. One round makes the difference between overtime and elimination for Big. Here we go. Orps set in for Searson. And 3 AKs available for MIBR. Quickly into the lane presence. A couple of players acting outside of elbow, leaning towards the mid-fight. JDC seeing nothing ahead of those smokes. Going to try and get involved over towards Shelf. Flashes are sent, and a T-side contact. JDC didn't even expect it to be there. He's got exit as well. John De Castro has done it once again. A 5-on-3 for Big.
Desperate to try and get a trade back, but the issue is, where do you get it from? You can't re-aggress the elbow smoke. You can't really re-aggress lane. You don't have the crossfire, and you've only got a MAC-10. MIBR with a straight spam. We know that Insani has liked those prods around the elbow position, but that time it was read to a book.
MIBR will group up. 2 of the AKs remain. MAC-10 for Brenzin. Utility is available to go for the execution, but there are 3 players on this defensive. 4th man can join them. That counter Molotov instantly out to stop them from ramp. Big need to completely bottle this setup if MIBR are going to take it. MAC-10's first players forward. Brenzin, check out that K position. No one's watching long. Crimbo gets ahead of the curve. Drops, drop. 2 left, 1 left. Safe, no chance of survival. All 5 alive for Big as we go to overtime.
A situation there from Big where they just set themselves up with JDC, who's in a lot of active roles on that CT basis. Always aggressing, always on the front foot, taking space away. And you could tell what Insani was trying to do there. Sit on the edge of the smoke, wait for a flashbang from exit, and you get out and you try and catch Crimbo or JDC off guard. Instead, you've been spammed up and you've given a 5v3 away very early on into the round, and there's just no recovery off of the back of that. So your only recovery now is to close in overtime.
$16 is the new magic number. MIBR for the 2-0. Big for map 3 for survival in this group for now. And Drops just caught dead to rights, blinded by flashbangs. JDC, another entry frag, but this time Insani stops him at 1. Multi-frags are plenty in mid and Shelf, and disallowed on this occasion. 4-on-4 ensues.
Crimbo is more aggressively into Donut, so no one defending A directly. You've got Sirison deep in CT with that AWP. Incendiary goes down at a perfect moment.
Counter utility was pretty fast towards it. Rotations called back, and they're checking red just in case there's a split play in. Further trying to suppress with flashes involved for Tabster. Didn't actually go towards the bomb site. Bounced off the higher walls. Exit. Needs to trade back on Crimbo. He just isolates Brenzin, drops him. AK drops down. Crimbo becomes the man to step up in this round. Between him and JDC, Big kept floating by their prowess. 4-on-2 ensuing for the CT forces. Insani so concerned about where Crimbo is, but he makes it a triple now. Safe. It's far from it.
Now, Crimbo and JDC have just been X-Factor players across both maps in this series. And between the 2 of them, they have won the majority of rounds for Big. Safe. Caught out to the player towards the back box. And just right there, they can't trade him. They know where he is. They know he's in the donut entrance. But no matter what they throw at him, no matter how many bodies try and fight against Crimbo, he will not go down.
So much work done. 13 to the border, Big. MIBR more focused. This time not opting to lose any fights out in mid. Doesn't stop JDC from pressing on that smoke over its shelf, blind firing to try to do some initial damage. The flashes do not connect to the AWP Searson though. Exit does find Process. Tabs are still on site though, and that flashbang catching both players fully blinded. Triple not quite secured, but Insani's low, dealt with by Searson regardless. Safe in another clutch. This time a 1 versus 3. Access to the bomb site and all, but surrounded by big players.
There's just no way of getting this bomb down. He's got to try and draw out fights first. And knows that the orb's out there from long. Incendiary is going to force him into the open. And MIBR are choking. There's no other word to describe it. That 12-10 round, that round 23 buy had 1 M4, 1 MP9, and 3 pistols, and they got the opening man advantage. That should have been the round of closure. And instead, it's now been 4 rounds in a row that have gone the way of Big.
Two to the good. The German side. Players out from mid. JDC once again taking the brunt of the aggression. Insani gonna catch JDC. Tabs is still out there. A Shelf can only get one of those frags. 3-for-1 trades at long last. MIBR taking an advantage, but running right into Searson. Player at the red entrance is undetected, so Searson should just get shot in the back, and indeed he does. Drop with the frag, with the double. And finally, some decency out from MIBR to recover 1 round at the turn.
And that's just going to be a positive sense of the matter, because the last thing you want is to go down 0-3 in the half of OT. You don't want to have that sort of pressure against you. Right at the tail end, it works out. MIBR, though, they need more. And for Big, I really didn't think this was going to go to a 3rd map, Jay. I really didn't even think there was going to be much of a chance towards the tail end of Ancient. But being up by 1... I want to say that they should send it to the finale. They should send it to Vertigo.
Two more to get there. MIBR on CT side. Damage done to Process to start. Quarter HP. Big set in their trademark slow defaults, drop spray from wall bangs at Cheetah, attempting the opening starts, unfortunately unable to line them up. Counter smokes of Brenton. I don't know how close Process is, will take that engagement and Process will win it.
Oh, a good fight there on the spam against Tabson, but Cave has been compromised. Process might be on for 2.
Drop might get isolated. Crimbo's fought on the A-bomb site though, so rotations might get pulled back away from the B site. Indeed they are. Drop has escaped towards Shelf. I think Process might be aware of that. Mid-control established. No one is watching the Cheetah position. Smokes will clear towards back lanes. Meanwhile, a fight that may well go the way of Insanity. Has to do so, but no. Searson and Process pick up those 2 responsives, and 1 man left of safe. How many times has he been in saving positions here? MIBR at least enabling actually a couple of kills here for safe. Being hurled on the wraparounds, being watched out by the AWP of the T-side line. Searson doesn't miss that shot. Stepped up to the plate humongously in this map up. 25 deep, same number of frags as Crimbo.
2 very different levels of impact, though. And Searson hasn't delivered in the same account. But for Big, they are on map points. They are 1 away. And for MIBR, imagine the stress right now.
Yeah.
The idea that you need 2 in a row to get it to another overtime, when it was there, it was right for the taking of a 2-0.
Two map points for Big. Contrast to match points that MIBR had. Insani on the smoke. Aggressed over at elbow. 4 players outside that position. The AWP is safe, has to re-smoke it on as they get themselves out of dodge. T-side players will start walking though, flashing their way forward. Safe's back is completely turning. Stanley's getting absolutely nothing out of this. 5 on 3 is Searson and JDC. Rip them apart. Exit. Hearing footsteps, seeing shadows, 2 engagements to be found. Tabson also spotted with the bomb dropped and everything. A massive sequence from him once again. A triple has bought MIBR a chance.
Crimbo is going to get sandwiched from both sides. Now they know where both of the T-side players are.
Bren's in trading process back. Now Crimbo is in a clutch for the umpteenth time. Bombs on his back. He's got time to work with Big. Of 40 seconds to trust in this man. 2 individual fights to take. 1 from mid, 1 from site. Bren's in. Himself tucked away, watching for the mid fights, watching for the mid presence. Crimbo will not offer it up to him, but he expects him to start peeking in, and Brendan wins that engagement. MIBR staying in this one. 1 out of 2 map points gone.
And we saw a couple of rounds like that from Exit on Anubis, didn't we? Where he was playing out from house with the multi, where he's up to bricks with the multi on the city side with the M4s. That round, I thought was done. I thought was completely over. Both mid players struggle from shelf and elbow, but it's the in-game leader that gets 3 kills in Donut to survive MIBR for 1 more round.
JDC out in the open and mid, finding Insani again, but the utility catches Process out over at Cheetah. JDC's tag damage leaves a HP advantage for MIBR in a 4-on-4. Slow to reveal. Smoke start coming down towards that A-bomb site, though. Donut, especially where both players are holding from. Safe's got to get ahead of it.
Now, Safe can just sit on the edge of this smoke, take that first contact and move back in it.
Exit trying to watch for JDC. Brendan going to support shoulder scene. Oh, what an engagement that is! And Brendan responds towards it regardless. Now the AWP is safe. Needs to keep MIBR safe here. Kill found, AWP assists and looking around the corner. Sees his elbow peeking out. 2v2 once again. Both CTs on the backside. Molotov's going to force that AK into an engagement. He doesn't quite get the shots off. Crimbo. Bomb plant open. Drop is going to wait this out. Wait for his teammate to form up. They engage. Crimbo takes tons of damage, but he dishes out a lot more. Kill on Brendan. Drops alone. AWP watching his entryway. Fought upon Sis and connects it. And Big maintain their map pick at 16-14 in overtime. We head to a 3rd.
Oh, we should have been going to a 3rd. That is a complete choke from MIBR. Should have closed in regulation, should have closed 13-10, but not to be. They have given the veterans a bigger chance in this series now.
And this is the thing I was concerned about coming into this map. Things can look so different for MIBR from map to map. We saw it in the last series. We've seen it in this one, even between the half switches, right? We saw them go down initially, get back to evens, take advantages, and then Big, of course, return from the 10-12 deficit to get to overtime, to take the overtime. MIBR, you're right about the choke situation. It forces us to a 3rd and Vertigo. Well, we've seen it get very one-sided from them, but you have to wonder whether or not it'll end up being the same case right now. But for the time being, the desk, I'm sure I've got something to say about that.
This is a very messy series of Counter-Strike. That's what this is.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to describe this entire series. Whether it's clutches, low buys, I don't know. Yes, missed shots and missed chances to close. You know, I think there are, you know, I wouldn't extend it so far as to say this was a choke from MIBR, but there were definitely missed opportunities, and that's really what they're highlighting, you know, when they're against these low buys that they had as their own weapon moving into that, the first map in Anubis. It was suddenly turned against them. Big had closers, they had openers on rounds that they had no business winning. I mean, this was a great performance from, once again, JDC and Crimbo.
I'll say this, in what seems like an ocean of Counter-Strike where, you know, you don't really know where the water is going, you don't really know where the wind is blowing, it feels like JDC and Safe were the eye of the storm over here, where, you know, things will actually calm down, but you can say, all right, some great CS being played by a couple of these individuals, some really good decisions being made, and whoever sort of came into that proximity, sometimes it was Crimbo, sometimes it was Sursen, a couple of times, obviously, we saw Exit and whatnot also coming into play later on. They did a lot, but really they were primary driving forces on either team, and everyone else did feel like the weights on Rockley's body rather than his limbs.
I just want to also highlight, levied a lot of criticism to Searson ahead of this series. He actually did have a very good performance here on this map. Was finding openers, was finding, kills in the mid-round that actually gave a lot more room for those riflers we were talking about on Big to actually step up as well.
Yeah, and while we're levying credit to people we called out, I want to levy credit to Sam. Because Sam, you're the one who was the expert all along. You're the one who predicted it, that MIBR would be the people who stopped Insani.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I don't even know where to go with that. Wow. Okay.
The main point being, Big actually negated Insani on this map, and this is one of his, I think, hallmark maps where he is so assertive on mid. He often will get away with 2-3 kills by himself. Usually has somebody throwing supportive utility with him, which I think is what is really missing here for Insani to I guess, have that impact. But constantly Big were punishing Insani for some of his aggressive peaks in mid.
It was an interesting one because obviously if I give you a little insight into our green room, we were all saying our goodbyes because this is our last day of working together, and there was a point where we thought MIBR had this, it was time for us to all say goodbye, we were doing all the nice platitudes, all of that stuff, and then Big gets it into OT, they ultimately win it. So where did MIBR lose it? What was it that they could have done to end up with a very different result?
Look, I'll be honest, I think we need to start much earlier on than the OT, because I really think that as much as Michael is right, Big did punish MIBR and Insani very much so. The way they were also setting Insani up in a lot of the earlier CT situations where he was just huddling up inside Red Room, trying to rely on a grenade to get a quick peek through in the middle of it rather than being given his traditional support. Insani never actually got to be activated through that aggression, right? And I said this before, that Insani isn't a player who I expect to completely fail in case things are going badly. I don't think that happened here. He was sort of middle of the pack, but he wasn't in a position to be a genuine threat. And while Big did mitigate that later on, I think MIBR really had to put some more eggs in his basket. Now, listen, they did a lot of things right. Safe was incredible all throughout that map, all throughout the series, in fact, and I don't think I've seen this side of Safe before. The fact that he was able to perform even when Searson is performing too, right? So this isn't just, oh, you're against a bad Opera, you're against an Opera who's having a bad time. Very impressive, but MIBR needed to get their stars online faster.
Yeah, and I think as well, if we're going to think about Big playing well and just making good decisions, I think there's really a nice round that we have from JDC, where, JDC, this is part of what I'm talking about, where, he comes into this roster as a much more complete player. This guy is closing rounds, he's won many clutches so far, but wins this fight against Insani, and then his teammate in Crimbo is going to get heavily pressured on this A-bomb site. They smoke deep in towards spawn, where JDC is slowly rotating, but he cheats ahead of this smoke and plays off Crimbo so well. These are the types of plays where this is almost the caliber that MIBR are missing as well. These players that will be able to make these independent decisions so quickly to win rounds for you.
We're obviously now going to be moving on to that decider, and we saw MIBR on Vertigo earlier today, 13-0 bet boom. How does this play out? Because now it is obviously both teams, this is their map to take and ultimately to keep themselves in the competition.
The one thing that I will say that for Big is I don't think JDC is going to quiet down at all, and that's such a big shoulder to be able to sort of lean in on. Searson's probably not going to have as good of a time on Vertigo just by the nature of the map, but also that's where I don't expect Safe to be having the same thing coming into play. Insani has not had a fantastic series across today, or rather across right now. We need to see the same form from him. We need to see BRNizen activated much more so. BRNizen was very quiet all throughout that Ancient game, and we saw how important he was up against Betboom earlier on as well. Playing in towards that short side on well, pretty much on both sides of the map. But yeah, we need a lot from MIBR over here. Big do actually feel like their guns are working now.
Yeah, no, I think as well, this is one of those maps in the pool where you effectively can't have a missing link, whether that's the AWPer, whether it's a rotate player, an anchor player. Vertigo, we see sometimes these performances where players completely pop off, but that's because they are playing outlandishly good. Like, they are playing well above expectations. If either team wants to feel confident in this map pick, you actually think you want people like Process engaged as well. This, I think, was a good map for him on the Academy squad. Even when coming into the main roster, I think it was probably his most impressive map, just in his decision-making. I don't think you can simply rely on JDC and Crimbo to completely carry you through this series, as they, to be honest, I think they have been so far. Without those pieces firing as well as they have, this could have been a 2-mapper.
It's now time to go to that decider. It will be Vertigo in a little bit. We will find out who stays here in the CCT Global Finals. Will it be Big or MIBR?
one thing remains the same. Victories with 1xBet.
Tired of boring case openings? Do you always get only cheap skins? The Hellcase website has tons of options to upgrade your inventory. It's up to you to participate in giveaways, events, or compete with other players in opening cases. Hellcase, your world of expensive skins.
Pick and live. Make your choice. Play begins and get your prize.
Well, good old MIBR push through the ringer today. 3 maps in the first series and 3 maps in the second. The final one will certainly be very intriguing in my eyes. They had the 13-0 on Vertigo a little bit earlier on against BetBoom. Will it end up being the same case against Big is the key question at the forefront of my mind. We've seen very, very different MIBRs from series to series today, Dwayne.
Yeah, we have. And normally here, I would back a team like MIBR. I think they've been the better team across the series. But my issue that I've got on this one is that they didn't close out when needed. And I feel like for Big, you're going to take that as a real big threat, right? Where you had us on the ropes. Should have been 13-10, 2-0, see you later. Instead, we're here fighting, and they've actually got some very good Vertigo results. The win against Heroic, the win against Gamer Legion twice, Bleed, you can throw OG into the mix there. I think their Vertigo is actually quite solid. So for MIBR, you might have got a 13-0 today, but there's no way that's going to be replicatable again.
And that overtime especially looked a lot more of the solid Big that we would have hoped to have seen, especially from the likes of JDC and Crimbo. Those two guys honestly have got to be my win condition for Big right now here. I did notice a little bit of an interesting dynamic in the sense that they were both going for both maps 1 and 2, and it was only in map 2 where Sears and Zorb started to actually take top fragging positions. Now I know that JDC and Crimbo definitely had more impact than Searson in my opinion, but I also look at that thinking that maybe they need that extra little bit of oomph to turn those two players into successful winning elements.
I think Searson had some good moments. I thought across the board, JDC and Crimbo, like you mentioned, took over the show, but even in that last round to close where he get boosted up tree in the 2v3 deficit, he just catches off safe at the edge of Donut. He was making round-defining plays. He was bringing enough with that AWP to get it over the line. So going into a map like Vertigo, you can expect that if you can have a core 3, right, if you can have your Crimbo, your JDC, and your Searson, then that's a pack that MIBR are going to struggle to deal with.
Certainly so. I mean, look, they struggled to deal with over on the tail end of that Ancient, right? And you look towards those guys now of the board of the MIBR and start wondering who those star elements are going to be. Safe probably was the guy at the top frag position, but was he also similarly impactful?
Safe was probably more impactful, I would say. Safe had some real, sick rounds out there, especially in the second half of regulation of Ancient. Now, I know that AWPing on Vertigo isn't going to be as sort of dynamic as it is on a map like Ancient, so that's probably where you look at a guy like Insani once again. Even Exit, to be honest. I know he's the in-game leader, but some of the rounds that he was having of high multi-frag sort of round-defining plays that kind of brought the comeback in, or at least brought a few rounds towards the tail end. I actually think that Exit is going to be quite key.
And he was a guy that was good. He had some key moments over the course of the entire series so far. So certainly a great ride to look forward to. However, you mentioned the lack of dynamicness, of course, on this map up, and that obviously calls into question about Searson and his own AWPing potential here for the Big side. So maybe now a little bit of oomph might have to come from somebody else on Big, because they will need this map to stay alive. It's our final match of this series, our final map rather of this series. And it is all for survival in the group stage of the CCT Global Finals. Pissed around with Big on the CT start.
And with how much background staff Big have, you've got to expect that someone was watching that best of 3 beforehand, right? Maybe getting some tells of what they could expect from MIBR out here on Vertigo.
It was a very ironclad result against BetBoom earlier on. But Big, they know what they're in for here. MIBR better be expectant of it. Ram default set in with 5 players. JDC is supported by Searson, Tabson, and now 2 more players looking to join the fray. The 5-man unit stacking up the A site here.
HG placement is excellent out there towards a mini ramp, and JDC's making a bit of an info play into Gap.
Taps on shoulders, Goosh down over one by Insanity. Pistol starts things off to his opening kill. Process does get one back, a second one in fact against Brendan. Searson was caught elsewhere, so it is a 3-on-3 situation, but this USP keeps fighting as Tapson drops. Primbo gets involved in the process. Even stances, relatively even HP. Both players are tagged over on MIBR, but not by a massive amount. The bomb is in the open, so someone's got to swing forward and pick it back up. And Drop is being contested by Process. A triple for him. A double required for Exit to clutch this, and they're fighting together.
Down to a 1v2, but you're right about the placement. The Goosh actually comes out. Crimbo's on low HP repositioning.
I have no idea how Exit's made this happen. Plant will be secured. He is at the advantage now, all of a sudden. Glock facing away, taking a little bit of noise to get away towards the side alley position. Crimbo, he is hoping that Exit gives him exactly what he wants in an overextended face. Once again, Exit set to a massive round, and he takes it. Pistol for MIBR.
And we saw a huge shift from map to map. Out on map number 1, it was just clutch after clutch for Big. When we got to Ancient, though, we actually started to feel as if MIBR was starting to get involved in the 1vx's. We were having some more late-round success from them. And right there for Exit, I mean, how he gets the Goosh off as well is just... You can't fathom it. MIBR, that is a massive start to be able to get their T-side off.
Big will be miffed, to say the least.
Especially Crimbo, if he just had more health.
Drop's looking for the opening on the man. Crimbo down. JDC knows that he must be tagged, but Drop doesn't give a damn. 2 kills for him. Him and Exit both tagged up. The Deagle of Searson trying to find a response. They're not having it though. MIBR. Ironclad start for the Ironclad map. Safe even. Mac 10 frags on Tapson. Not a single pick for Big.
Yeah, so Vertigo is the most picked map in the pool for both of these squads. So to see it as a third map decider is sort of quite exciting from that outset. Just knowing there's good results on it. Vertigo was picked against BetBoom. Sort of, I would say, shaky in the first few rounds in terms of contention, right? That the rounds were actually competitive. But once we got past, I would say, round 6 or 7, that was it. There was no stopping MIBR. And maybe that's what Big need to do in this best of 3, in this final map decider, is to keep it tight at the start. If they allow MIBR to get up to sort of a 5-0, a 6-0 kind of scoreline, is it just done from that point onwards?
Confidence brimming for MIBR, certainly going to indicate positivity. Only 1 casualty sustained by the MIBR side to the bomb blast. A 2-0 inserted. Big, of course, forced the issue in that last round. The FAMAS process is the only thing that we'll have to work with in the next. Harsher Eco Pistols, a 3-0, set in for the Brazilians.
And for Big, when you've got a FAMAS out and you pack, you might be able to get 1 or 2 kills. And the HGs as well. That's something that I am keeping my eye out for. Triple boost on the right-hand side of Gap.
It works well for Process to start. Safe down and out. Slows in for the T side. Ever so careful from MIBR. Ever so quiet from MIBR, not any information given away to Big. Don't have a clue what's going on.
Now with 1 more HE down on A, this is the Xantares nades that's going to go down to the mini ramp position. Now Process has already used his, so they're not going to be able to chain them up, but that could do a considerable amount of damage against the A players.
Nice counter HGs there from the CT side. Process gets another decent kill. Exit is forced to continue fighting, avoiding that secondary nade. Double, triple. Maybe running out of steam for the quadris. Glock is pulled out. His teammates right behind him. Actually, he does get those 4. And Drop is there to close back the last man, ensuring that 3 players do stay alive. So good efforts there from Big. Nothing that turns towards success or potential resets. The AWP can come in from safe. The second AK can get brought back, and the rifles will also come in for Big for the first time in this map.
I'd say that was very close to actually being around still. Big did a lot right there with the double HE to mini ramp with the wide swing of pretty much everybody. Just not being able to trade exit made that round a bit more difficult. A 3-0, and the NWP is out for Sirison.
Both players may well engage each other here towards ramp. Sirison's a much more passive line. Process to try to look down ramp, but forced away by the Molotovs. And then Thompson will start to re-aggress as Exit's pulling a lot of attention. The flash is forward, but safe is ready for Sirison. Wins the AWP battle to start.
A Process looking for that response out here for the mini ramp, but Brenzen's just about caught the timing against him. Thompson with the overswing, catching players with util out in the open, but only damage is being done in a single kill. JDC's caught on that rotation out from the elevators, and MIBR a flying tall once again on T side of Vertigo.
This is looking like a very concerning early game. Sheer confidence on MIBR. T-side basis just continues to build upon what we saw earlier on today. Remember, it was a 12-0 against BetBoom on the T side to start. And the Brazilians are literally doing the exact same thing to Big, yet to find a responsive. Guys like JDC, yet to find their start. Crimbo's only found one.
As I said before, those are my 2 win conditions.
How much do you really believe it, though? I mean, we've only seen 1 gun round.
And still led to what should be a 5-0 start. Early, I'll give you. We'll be up on the better weapons in the half-by basis to try and contest the best they can. Execution coming in very quickly towards Crimbo's position is sprayed as very little damage, all things considered. Flashbang off, HE from Exit to finish off the kill count. Process also overwhelmed. Attempting in this half-by. Find more picks back, but it's just returned so quickly by the SMGs and the rifles. There will be nothing into this one. A 5th to the board of MIBR.
Now, something that I did notice in the BetBoom series on the T side for MIBR, especially with the B plays, is how heavy the util was. I think you got 2 different styles, right? You can either be extremely heavy with the actual site take with util, but then you don't leave yourself a massive amount in the post plant. Now, when they were going up against Nafany and co, we were seeing double mollies at quad, and out there at default we were getting the double smokes to the left and right hand side of the jetty. We were getting proper heaps of flashes going over white. So that might have to be something that Big adapt to on how they can play and what the protocol is against that heavy bombardment of util.
JDC has found a rifle in the exit frags. His first kill of the game. Now it's going to turn those fortunes around. Again, early start has been slow from Big. Next gun buy available to try and turn things back against MIBR. They are only 1 away from taking evens at the turn.
And my biggest concern for Big is that in all maps, Anubis, Ancient, and now Vertigo, they're on the back foot. And they're going up against an outer region team. For Big, they should be the ones leading. They should be the ones that are setting an example, and it just hasn't been like that in this best of 3.
Even when they had that lead of the 5-round streak they gained over on Ancient, it was still pressed to a match point, more specifically actually for MIBR first. Pulled ahead quite confidently, Big hunting for their first round. M4s have the AKs to contest them, boost of Exit. Looking up, finding the headshot of JDC, but not connecting it.
JDC winning out that first, but still a lack of info on what's happening elsewhere. And jump spots from Process, Sirison trying to get the AWP involved.
Oh, what a flick from Safe. Sirison down. 4-on-4 in the round as Process tries to reposition on defensive. He's the only player here for now. JDC might be close, but wary about mid. Actually, it's Tabson behind the man. Now bolstering up.
Oh, timing as Process just tries to send the util back over. MIBR are challenging after JDC had such an opening beginning on B.
Might still find a sequence here that the two players round the corner. Finds Brenzin, drop, catches him looking away from a flashbang. Advantage regained by MIBR. Bomb trying to commit to sight, only really tabs to deny it. Crimbo's late lurk and the backstab may come up to a retake, but they're hunting for him a lot more directively through the elevator position. Insani will catch that next headshot, and MIBR will have a 6-0. And
is this where we need to start using the hashtag save Crimbo and save JDC? I mean, it's just been an entire best of 3 where they have just looked so impressive. They've had some incredible moments. They've been pushing this victory to as much of it as they can. And right there, JDC wins out the opening fight on B, but yet the A site just crumbles. I don't know, Big off to a very slow start here to Vertigo.
Minimum 6 for MIBR.
And I have to think as well, Jay, that if they do get eliminated in last place, are roster changes maybe even bound before the player break? I mean, I know that Siriston and JDC haven't been here for that long. It's been, what, just over 3 months? But it's the results, right? They should be beating a team like MIBR.
Well, considering we're a little under a month away, I'd at least give a little bit of credence to time. Tacticals called in by Big, though. Want more immediate turnarounds.
I suppose the other difficult thing is who even can be replacements. The German scene's not like it once was. You look back a few years ago with the alternate attacks, some of the Penta lads, some of the Sprout players, Kawana. A lot of those guys have just all retired. Not outside of alternate attacks in the current day, that's basically it. That's the only, I would even say, semi-dominant team in Tier 2 that we have in the German scene.
Remember, 2 of those players on Big Academy are out on loan to that squad. Maybe it's time to start looking at the Academy project again to try and get a pipeline of some sort. Nay, damage done towards Exit and Brenzin. More HGs down against them. They are just tanking the damage. MIBR, Big, unable to get the opening kills. However, Brenzin continues to face, hugging the Molotovs. Right around the corner over at Ramp. He's looking for the headshot on the AWPA. What a tap!
Now, Process at least finds that response out from Gap, but there's a mid-walk going on with 2 players, so Brenzin's not going to overpeak. This timing is so sick right now.
Someone's got to go back for the bomb anyway, so they have to stall it down. JDC fought upon Insani, takes a dink back, but he still wins the fight.
Crimbo's B stairs.
Could deny this bomb carrier. Brenzin and Exit are the ones that will make their way forward. The other CTs are starting to work back. Smokes will start to clear over at the elevators, should allow them mid-access. Again, the concern is really going to be Crimbo here. Another smoke, flashbang actually rather, comes down against them, so stall for a little bit more time. Exit. Flash sent, kill found, turned away from it. Brenzin, another good tap onto Crimbo. 2 kills to him. Site is taken, 3 on 2. Tabson and Process tentative about this retake.
Oh, they've got to go for it. There's no way that you can save in this 2v3.
They're flashing their way in now. Tabson finding nothing. Insani does get overwhelmed, but they've got Drop to deal with next. Trades back. Orpa known about shot missing. And Drop converts 2 kills for 7 rounds in a row for MIBR.
Oh boy. Oh man, this is tough to watch. Because there was actually fairly decent success being brought here. The Process gets out towards Gap. I mean, for Crimbo, if he gets both kills, that round is basically over. It just doesn't happen. MIBR, it's how much map territory they're getting. I mean, 2 players walking out mid that deep. Big are just so defensive on this CT side of Vertigo.
Once again, early HEs will do damage to the T side, but MIBR has shown that they don't really mind it too much. They can still work these advantages. Crimbo gets involved in the opening pick, drop instantly responds towards him. JDC's got a 5-7, naded out from White once again. Utility starts coming in. Needs some serious headshots, needs him to line up, but actually might get away with quite a fair amount. 2 kills for him. Brendan trades back to a 2 versus 2. Now Process M4 involved from range, bursts through to get that kill. Brendan versus 2. His spray is extremely off. And finally, Big can get their starts.
Do you know what? Because I was feeling like we were going to get another 13-0, we didn't. That's actually what cost it right there. Rip the dream. 20 rounds in a row for MIBR today on Vertigo. That is kind of crazy. You will not get stats like that, probably ever. MIBR have lost it to an eco out of all rounds. At least if you lose it to a full buy, you go, okay. But to lose it to just the pistol at JDC, I mean, it is JDC, so maybe.
Can you call it Caster's Curse if you didn't say it, but you thought it? Like...
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you probably can do, actually, because it was on my mind for quite a few rounds. It's the only thing I'm thinking about.
Well, we can put it out of our minds now because the dream is certainly Rip.
I did get a 13-1 at least in the other direction, so let's see if MIBR can do that much.
They're still back on the guns here. A couple of AKs, of course, available for the CT side. Process is on one of them. Actually, both of them out towards ramp default. Process can strike first on safe. Brendan very fast to respond.
Out there at Crane, Tabson has just enough of an elevated angle to be able to deal with Brendan at bottom ramp. And now Big should start stabilizing a few rounds in a row. The ramp's been taken with a man disadvantage for MIBR. They need to trade out Tabson. The issue is now Exit's giving away the noise.
Nade responsive, hoping that he's out there at the tops, but he's behind them, joining with his teammates. Got a Molotov on drop that they can use towards that sandbag position, so Tabson may be caught off. Sani trying to look for the man. Tabson starts swinging, no one's watching it. He gets a double. Opponents of Exit, adjusted towards by that AK. A quadra for the man. Big. Take 2 on the trot, start to close this gap a bit.
I remember seeing one big round of impact from Tabson on the defense of the B side on Ancient. Outside of that, though, and this round, we actually haven't really seen a lot of X-Factor rounds from Tabson. A very important in-game leader, a very high fragging in-game leader for Big. And that round in particular, though, he at least starts stringing 2 rounds in a row.
Five still to the good on MIBR, and the streak that they've taken already has enabled them a strong economy basis to reinvest with. It doesn't stop Tabson from continuing to frag. Brendan down. Utility set towards the back line to the ace site, blocking off a little bit of vision, but trades what you need, and drop is going to get taken back by more sprays. Tabson with a wall bang. 5-on-3 situation. They're walking out from mid, yes, and the presence over from Big side of things. Process gets safe. The bomb in Crimbo's control. Insani and Exit just sandwiched and shouldn't contest much more in this third.
And they shouldn't even know the bottom ramp has been taken. Crimbo's just pressed all the B stairs, and Exit is getting fired from all sides. Insani's walked over Guardian and realizes, hang on, Crimbo's just completely left. A re-aggress at the bottom of the B stairs was everything to the info play, because not only did it kind of give the indication that no one's defaulting towards B, but it just means that everyone can get stacked up on A. Everyone can be established to that crossfire. It does help that Tabson got a complete spam kill through yellow as well.
And now we go full momentum swing. Insani's certainly not taking this round here. Gonna have to hold on to the weapon, gonna have to keep it in play for the next. It's a third to the board of Big. And money certainly was questionable for MIBR. The AK might just help things, though.
For Big, they start to find themselves in a little bit of form right now. And if we're going to be realistic with the scoreline and the expectation of Vertigo, I think if you get to 5 rounds on the CT side, if you're able to add another few, then there is room to come back. There is room to keep this map competitive. MIBR, though, I mean, it must be weighing on their minds that they were up 12-10 against a weakened Barn Ancient. You now go into Vertigo, you're up 7-0, and it slowly starts becoming a game where Big are getting more involved. And it's not just JDC and Crimbo. We're seeing more from Prosus at mini ramp. We're seeing impact from Tabson on A. So that has to be looked at as a positive note, that it's not just the hard carries.
Starting to find their formation. Starting to find some success. 2 more left in this half. 5 rounds is the best case for the CT side. MIBR. What was initially looking like a position in terms of another 13-0 is starting to get seriously questioned in terms of map success. JDC has once again struck first, straight in from mid, exit down, and Sandy's right around that corner. AK on AK action, and neither player wants to blink.
And Sani is hoping for a reaggress, hoping for a timing that he can kind of work a refrag. Now, he's been able to exploit deep mid previously. He's been able to get out to CT and over Guardian. All about the timing and the patience. Now, out from the B stairs, you've got a couple of T-side individuals that might be setting a little bit of a boost up, selling some util over. JDC is finally going to start getting aggressive and finally gets punished.
Mounts up mid pressure, may allow an execution to split play onto B. Tabson's been smoked off at mid. Searson's up. Incendiary on towards Guardian will keep that one player at play. And Sammy still caught Tabson though. Flash forward, Searson's adjustment is sick. His USP is also just as good. Brendan caught. Advantage now. T-side action from Insani though. Buys rotation room into the A site. 2v2.
A safe can come up ramp. The issue is they need to fight against the rotators. They can't allow it to be easy for Sirison and Crimbo to get out to elevators. So Insani's going to jiggle for contact and then get the smoke down when he hears the footsteps.
Plant secure default. Flash is coming in, AK unaffected by it, but Searson, what an adjustment that must have been. Insani and safe, dealt with by one spray, a quadra for the man himself. And Big just continue mounting these up.
And Brev just hit the 5x. He's gone from 1 kill to 5 in the span of 1 round. That USP shot, I'm wondering, did he just not have armor? Like the head Kevlar? I'm not sure if there was a little bit of a body shot beforehand, but that just bullet connection to the head was instant to a kill. Oh, yeah,
man
come
alive.
on.
That was it.
There we go.
That was sick. MIBR.
Oh, hang on.
Seeing JDC dropping in against Drop. Foot seen. Forced upon. Fight out for the AK.
Can't believe he's got out.
It. Incendiary will ensure that Drop can't give chase. There are no opportunities to open up for MIBR in that position at least. Ramp defaults coming in. Process and Tabson on the ones on the defensive. HE's down, Smoke's involved. Insani does catch the opener. JDC's caught off and Process gets caught by Safe. A 5-on-3. MIBR trying to take 8 at the turn of the half, but there's still resistance from Big.
And the issue for Tabson is he's got no teammates. He has to basically sit and fight by himself. No one's even close to rotating over.
Got that mid player actually dived down the ladder, and once again, Searson and his AWP there to cut rotations.
Oh, here we go.
HE doesn't do that much actually. Brenzin somehow getting away at 24 points of health. Incendiary's on to try to stop them. They have to back away from that because there are so many tagged up players here for MIBR. 2 of them most certainly would die. Tabson starting to swing. Teammate right behind in the backstab, closing into the AWP. Brendan still isolates Tabson though. And Crimbo behind the smoke drop. Oh, just missed the timing. Searson waits for it. Does connect his shot together, but Crimbo's burned. The AWP is in a 1-on-5. HE sent back towards the sandbags. Won't do anything because Safe is going to beat him to the punch. And MIBR will close out with 8.
Now, I think from a scoreline perspective, 8-4 does actually look pretty good. But I was quite impressed at what Big were doing towards the tail end of that half. They were giving us some good competitive rounds, a strong understanding of being able to adapt. MIBR, I don't think it's going to be that easy to close out this map. I think Big are going to give us a good fight in the second half.
They still lead by 4 on the Brazilian squad. Talked about how early momentum can affect things so much. Maybe that could come through again if they win the pistol. Big not ones to take this lying down. Very good reason that they pick into it frequently. Both teams do. MIBR seeing the utility coming out. Searson will land that first kill, and Sandy's got to take back the trades. The Julies could try get fought towards. He's forcing forward. He's trying to close gaps of vision. Running out of ammo though, needs to get back on the reload. Join his teammates who are now formed up for the retake. 2 for 2 trades. JDC and Tabson eventually edge out the man advantage. Brendan, 1 versus 1. He's caught JDC. Tabson spamming him down. Can barely spot him at the end of the smoke. He's trying to tap the vision. He spots the head. And lands his 2K, lands a pistol indeed for MIBR.
And we saw Exit, right? He was the one that won the pistol of a 1v2 out there in the first half of Vertigo. And now it comes through to Brendan to win another clutch. Oh, how things have completely gone the other way. Big were the kings of clutches in this series. But MIBR have won 2 clutches in 2 pistol rounds on the very same map.
And it's made all the difference in the world. Last pistol converted to a 7-round streak. The same thing happens to here. You won't need 7 rounds. MIBR in the driver's seat once again with only eco pistols for Big.
Upgrade on Crimbo with his Deagle. Hoping he's the man that could find some sort of frag or 2, some sort of damage against the CT side. Unfortunately, his teammates taking fights that they can't quite win. Crimbo does get that 1 headshot on Exit.
Second headshot on Brendan would be lovely, but it's unrealistic and ultimately it's unsuccessful. Rifles are the priority for Big. It's going to need to be a 6-round comeback to match up to the Brazilians. They need everything that they can get their hands on.
And it's getting to a state now, unfortunately for Big, where they've just responded too late, haven't they? We saw a very good resurgence towards the tail end of the first half, but being down 0-7, especially in MR12, you don't have the rounds to work with. You lose a pistol, you lose a gun round, you lose 2, and then the game's just done. You are down 4-10 on a strong map in the pool for both squads. For MIBR, the one concern that I do have is the lack of closing. Now, we saw that out on Ancient, didn't we? Weren't able to do it in regulation, weren't able to do it on overtime. Could that potentially be a factor that hinders them in this finale map?
Rifle buys for the T side. And the engagements from Exit trying to look beyond those smokes, down towards top, seeing nothing at all. HE is a standard from drop towards that boost position. Incendiary as soon as he sees contact and denying he rushes. Another HE comes forward but doesn't do any damage.
They're big. Scaling with a couple of players aggressively into mid. You've got Crimbo and Tabson not continuing all the way around. Safe. He's actually watching out for the boost on the box.
Crimbo might give him what he wants. Sandy's watching the lower ground position. The boost actually dismantles as the SMG of Drop looks to fight on JDC. Both players get away on relative even HP. And Drop does back off.
A Drop. Another incendiary under the stairs. Gonna try and drive JDC away. Now there's a bit of a over-rotation from mid. It's actually triple mid right now for MIBR. And Big do not have a lot of time at all to be making this rotate. There is still a jiggle from Brendan out towards ramp, so he's just going to be able to spot and fall back to side.
Footsteps heard, flashing against Brendan, will push him away. Back on the side alley with teammates right behind him. 3 players total on the A defense. Crimbo fights on. Brendan is caught. Advantage now for Big, but low HP across 2 players. This HG is going to catch tabs, and he falls with 6 seconds. Process got to get the bomb down right now. There's no further util exit. Is he going to deny it? No, he looks to the back lines. Instead, he gets up with 2 kills, though. Drops into the bomb site. A triple found. Crimbo, 11 HP to the clutch. Needs some taps, needs some luck. Needs all sorts of things to go his direction. Now he's been spotted. Now they can hold the defuse, and Safe will clean him up. Insani with an insane round. And gets MIBR closer and closer to the W.
And that was really poor played from Big. And I'll explain exactly why, Jay. Because they're not really taking much of a contact at the B stairs, and they're not over-facing towards mid, they're not drawing util. They're not blending the incendiaries, the HGs, the flashes to come out. So as soon as they come up to the bomb site and time is low, you just know retaking nades of the HG, deny that bomb from going down. Now, okay, they can't deny the bomb the second time, but as soon as they create that chaos, they create that panic, that's when you can flash over high, and that's when you can overpeak. Insani, with the util behind him, made that look just so easy.
Three AKs for the CTs to play with here. MIBR pulling no punches over Big, who lose their first of taps and blind sprays. The Burns in might get overwhelmed by the flashbang. And Process's swing forward to the kill. 4-on-4, exit, smokes down, no to side alley. Process gets another kill. Searson and Process overwhelm the site defenders. And Big make much lighter work of that round.
And they drop the gloves and they just go in a bit drier, don't they? More aggressive, more pace, trade out 1-for-1. And then rather than resetting and going for the cross smokes and getting the util down, they just keep charging. As long as they've got the flashes, they've got the trades. MIBR caught flat-footed there, caught out of position, and Big win a very convincing 5th.
Something that restores a little bit of confidence. But a 1 round out of many that is required to bring this all the way back. Drop gets away with an AK, the money lopsided in this case. Safe has got the 6,500, but everybody else down 32, 28, 25. Already that AWP has been bought, so there won't be any drop weapons from the central man.
MIBR needs to just keep this next round as expensive as possible. Good entries from Process and Searson. And just opening up A, just exploding. Let's see how much damage Drop and Safe are going to be able to do in a round like this.
They don't have to go for the full investment, just a hero weapon brought in with the AK. Drop posted towards ramp. Safe currently in at mid with his teammate for crossfire here. Boost up, enabling the AK drop to pump good with the kill. USP stands to attention, drawing attention away from the back side. Exit caught by the HGs. Drop further smokes down as Brendan is known to be centralized somehow. Drop is sneaking around the back lines.
Safe in mid.
Late to the target, so engagements of AWPs need to find a fight. Actually, they might go back into this AK's position. Start walking, shadows, shoulders, not seen. Searson runs right into it. Oh, 2 kills of Drop. 3-on-2 now for MIBR.
And know that last of the 2 players without there towards mid. Drop that smoke and just try and waste the time. Now he needs to get some teammates in for support, because this smoke's only going to last so long. He needs to establish a crossfire. They might even get a boost on the forklift on the top of it.
Insani's got the AWP in play. Brenton's grabbed an AK now. Low HP on 2 players. A secondary smoke will come back, though. The Molotov from JDC considering where to place it. Insani's AWP is posted first. JDC with a flashbang. A Molotov will come forward. The first player out of position, but drop reaggresses. And Sandy's burning quite heavily, so now all 3 players are tagged to half HP or less.
I think they're backing off here. They're saving.
Indeed they are. Oh, Big. Running out of time. And deciding it's best to keep at least a couple of rifles into the next round. But for MIBR, it is 12-5. Map and match point to eliminate Big from the CCT Global Finals.
And MIBR have easily been the better team today. Out there on Anubis, they led by example. Out on Ancient, they should have closed at 12-10. On Vertigo, the 7-0, yes, they let Big contest towards the tail end of the half, but this second half, not at all.
Some key clutches from both Brenzen and from the in-game leader of Exit. And now MIBR should close once here and once now.
Seven match points. A monstrous comeback required, and already the HGs have put paid to confidence on Big. Tabsin, Searson, Process, tagged heavy. And JDC tries to work an angle over on the B-bomb site from the stairs. HG's one connects towards him. Process is going to find that first fight. 2 players start facing on JDC. He does get Insanity, drops there with a response. Now you're going to get back to the back of the A-bomb site because that's where Big are going to hit. The first shot misses. The M4 blind spray, can't do anything with it. A 4-on-3 out for the Big side, and MIBR look like they might go in for a save of their own.
And just a missed opportunity there from Safe. No smoke coverage on that right-hand side of the bomb site. If he wins out that first duel, it's a 3v3, and they probably attempt the retake. A good call, though, to save here. Because you've got 7 rounds. You've got plenty of opportunities. Don't waste it on a high-risk round where maybe it might come in. Lack of util, man disadvantage, AK saved. This is the right decision.
Got plenty of rounds to try and take their one. Big didn't take a full comeback yet. 6 still to the good on MIBR, and indeed those weapons will be brought back in responsive. Drop and safe with the AK and Orb that have been around for a fair while now. Still high firepower available for those 2, and Safe is looking for early presence as well towards ramp. Is Orb behind sandbags, opting not to go overly aggressive. There's no run boost available. There's 3 players total as defensive, and Brendan made our take fight onto Process. HG's down, kill found on Process with Searson's opening start. They got the leg shot to kick things off.
A very good start. Brendan was trying to fall back. You can see the strafe away, but it's just not enough with the tagged up damage. Committing to the fight for Process, and now regrouping to the bottom of the B stairs. Now it's a bit of an over-rotation, and leaving Drop solo. Not even a mid player can help him out. The info play will come to ramp, but they're going to be too late on this.
Flash forward. Mid presence starting to get established here from the seaside line. Drop, however, gets an engagement found. Only the one, though. Process turning fire. Insanity has challenged Crimbo, who opts not to give away a man advantage here. Fall back down the stairs, or the ladder, rather. Through the B stairs and into the site defensive. MIBR opting not to go for a retake. Again down by a man. Again looking for more rifle buys. Big cling on.
Now, we probably won't see it in this buy round just because of how low the money is in the reserve for Big. But come the next buy round, if they're getting a post plant and MIBR are saving, you're going to start seeing bodies hunt, aren't you? You're going to start seeing Big players dropping those last couple of CTs, getting it into sort of a buy eco format. But right now, as long as they keep saving weapons, they're going to keep buying. 3 alive. M4s can be dropped from both Safe. Exit has to actually drop over a FAMAS or an MP9. Big. Couple of good rounds in a row from them. They're working the rat picks nicely.
A bit of a weakened element for the defensive side. I don't think not to drop those weapons at all. I think Safe went for more utility. Big. Seeing the boost against an exit, looking downrange. Tarps as the angle of attack from the likes of Process. Exit does lose drop, but he gains a 4 versus 4. Insani takes the advantage back, seeing the headshot of the next to JDC. 3 on 3 to his efforts. The boost up at the M4 back here at yellow. Gets away with a casualty on Sis, and JDC swings through his boosting mana. Brenzin and threatening for a moment there on MIBR. Big will still look to take the round.
And maybe this is where we start getting the tax getting called for MIBR. I know that this was just an upgraded eco with a couple of saved-in rifles, but that was looking promising. Early start, proper contest for the rifles, boost up from yellow. Not to be. Big get themselves on 8 now.
You mentioned the last map was a choke from MIBR. Are we starting to see the same thing here? Still so many match points to work with, still so many more chances. Big are not getting away the cleanest in these rounds. They'll still be buying up regardless. And closer to dishing out the respective damage that MIBR need to take one of these rounds over the finish line. The AWP stays in for Safe. The M4s will be formed around it. One of the 3 rifle rounds that will be available to MIBR before Big take us to overtime.
Well, they've got to stop giving opening and deaths away to Process. He's a guy that's working gap and ramp to constant opening kills. Drop out here from the B stairs. Wouldn't have got the info, but it's very heavy, and we haven't seen that for a little while from Big.
Smokes go down on the stairs, but JDC is going to push ahead of it. Molotovs and flashes start coming in. The M4 fights and does drop the first player. Safe is off. He gets himself a double. Assist and out of it. And maybe Big Melt would be 2. Tabson and Crimbo. 2v5. Playing from a major back foot.
Tabson's just hoping for another reface. He's hoping for an overextension, and no one's giving him anything. Look at how tidy this 5v2 is right now for MIBR. No one is over-peaking.
Let the timer run down. Molly sent, Tabson forced away, Crimbo dead to rights on Safe, who will end up with 4 to close out the map and the series 13-8, 2-1 as a result to their group stage. MIBR stay alive to the decider. Big are out of the CCT Global Finals.
And for Big, this has got to be looked at as a massive disappointment. Not a single win in the group stage and getting eliminated by MIBR. Fair play to the Brazilians, though. They were the far better team in this best of 3 today.
Indeed they were, and say what you want about the Big roster itself, the reality is that these are guys that will be playing at the highest level of the game, so they need to have a deep run, and unfortunately this is about as shallow as you can make it. Dead last for Berlin International Gaming, as MIBR will push forward indeed to face the loser of our next match on stream today. But before we get to that, is back to the desk for the final time on the morning shift.
Big shout out to Jay and Dwig, thank you so much. And there we go, MIBR, they clinch it out on Vertigo. Kind of expected considering what we saw from them earlier in the day against Beppu.
Yeah, no, I mean, this MIBR team definitely had a moment of weakness against that BetBoom roster, but, you know, leaning into this final map in the series, you could see that they were firing on all cylinders. They were the ones winning the clutches, they were the ones finding opening advantages, and they were the ones as well dictating a lot of the flow of combat throughout this entire Decider game, where other pieces from Big didn't have those massive step-ups to save them.
And I'm glad that we were able to get that cleaner map 3 without it being just like some ridiculous 13-0 situation or something like it, because I feel like if that had happened, I wouldn't even be able to really even read into it as a success from MIBR to the same extent. But it's really good to see that they were able to pick things up. BRN is on an exit, were incredibly important going into this one. And, you know, let's be frank, they were very, very absent on Ancient, so the fact that they can always pick themselves up, the mental resilience of MIBR has been proven twice over today.
So MIBR 13-0 on Vertigo against Bedroom. We've seen them again now with the 13-8 up against Big. Why are they so strong on this map?
I mean, it was something that even Dweg was sort of pointing out on the cast, is that the way in which they go for their executes, where it's just so layered in utility, that makes it very difficult to play. You know, Big had problems dealing with the flashes and the Molotovs coming their way. It was only when they started pushing forward, when the executes started happening, that we started to see a little bit of relevancy from the Big defense. I think just in terms of rehearsal, this is a very well-drilled map. Probably the most drilled map I think MIBR actually have in their pool, if we're thinking about like how they compose their executes.
I mean, especially at this time being, right, once upon a time probably would say that that was their Ancient, but we can see why they shifted over towards this Vertigo side as well. And I do think that for Big, this was always a bit of a poorer matchup, just in terms of theoretically, because Big's always farmed out teams that have more instability in their roster, that have less layering coming out in these executes, that probably are international teams on the European side of things as well. This was really Big meeting kind of like a mirror matchup in a lot of ways, but honestly, just better. And that's what it ended up being on Vertigo, even if it necessarily wasn't in the initial stage.
I also think it's just very difficult to play Vertigo when you're constantly kind of losing over ramp control and you're losing a lot of those opening engagements. That's why some people have critiques about this map, is that A ramp can be just a brawl in the early stages, and the map can kind of be defined by how successful you are in taking that control away from T's.
What were your thoughts on the series overall, though, if we look across all three maps?
I think that overall for the series, we have to say that MIBR could actually still end up being knocked out of the groups of here. As much as that might be surprising to some people, after we've obviously seen so much from Safe in the series, after we've obviously seen so many good moments from the supportive players at certain points in the series, there were many incredibly concerning signs over here. MIBR need to get their act together. If not for BetBoom, then definitely for the playoffs, if they end up getting there. Yeah,
I think Astralis as a squad would probably be a weirdly better fit for MIBR to face off against, if I had to like do a head-to-head, just because MIBR do a lot of more precursor utility. They sort of stage their rounds, and I think MIBR's information is actually kind of predicated on a lot of that. BetBoom are far more of an explosive team that is actually, I think, like a stylistic mismatch in a lot of ways.
Okay, but also, I will say they probably would rather face BetBoom.
I know they would probably
face right, as long as we're on the same page there, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think caliber of players, I mean, Astralis look great at the moment. It's just, if I'm thinking about the way that MIBR want to play Counter-Strike, the way that they would match up against Astralis would actually be, I think, easier for them. I think they have a lot of weird guesswork to do when they play BetBoom.
Right, who are we calling? Who is our MVP for the series?
I don't think there's much contest in this one. Safe is our MVP for MIBR. This guy had so much impact, and it really did kick off on Ancient predominantly, but he was consistent throughout this entire series. I mean, he was able to get kills on rifles, kills in late round situations, and just loads of kills on the AWP. He was great through and through.
Listen, he also had 28 kills on Anubis, right? Let's not say he kicked off on Ancient. He definitely kicked into a different gear there, but he had an incredible performance in the first two maps. Vertigo, not necessarily as good, and I'm really, really, really happy about this, because it does feel like this is something we've been waiting for so long. We've been waiting for this version of Safe to show up, and he's never actually reared up his head, and to be honest, I'd sort of given up at this stage, but I'm really glad that not only did he do it, he did it at a point where Surson was performing, so we can't even blame it on, oh, well, your opponent operates kind of weak though.
So now what happens if you're MIBR, because you've now got to sit and wait, because you are going to play whoever loses between Astralis and BetBoom? What is the best way to reset after already playing two best of threes?
This is where the coach and the strategic coach come in. You guys watch the game, we're getting food and just decompressing, and maybe even talking about, you know, things that went wrong. There's only so much you can do, I think, in these breaks. You just have to try and endure. You know, this is where these long days really test your stamina as a player.
Yeah, wrist exercises and cold showers. Just keep those wrists happy and healthy. Make sure you're not getting tired. I'll be honest, I genuinely think that that's going to be incredibly important for them, considering the fact that they've now had 2-3 mappers. Admittedly, the first 3 mapper did feel oddly short, but 2-3 mappers, and now you're going to have to wait for BetBoom to beat Astralis for your final series. That's going to be a rough time for them.
Oh, it's tea time. All I kept thinking when you said wrist exercises is, James has made a YouTube video about this if you're looking for any help. And on that note, because that's where we're going to leave it, thank you to everyone who watched the day shift for the group stages. Myself, Yumi, and Tea Time, we are out, but the playoffs will continue. 2 more group matches, and then you get to have some fun. Thank you so much for watching. Stick around, though, because the boys have got you covered. That was fun. I giggled.
Changing quickly. Shut up.
The world is changing, but one thing remains the same. Victories with 1xBet.
You look into your inventory and there's only... It's time to forget about this garbage. Here you will find everything to play with really cool skins. Open top cases, upgrade dropped skins, and turn your junk into a cool gun using the contract system. Every day, thousands of people upgrade their inventory with us. Hellcase.com. Look at yourself in a new way.
Pick and live. Make your choice. Play Pick'em and get your prize.